playing one of my favorite themes. Hello there, everybody. Sobata.exe, aka Nightmare, and welcome back to Irae Amantes Amentes. Well, it was recommended that I try to do myself a bit of a feature length, so we will see about that. Although, depending on whatever length the video is currently, well, you'll know the answer then. The castle above me burst apart, spreading across the heavens and taking the shape of a giant magical circle. I knew well enough what the opening of the 8th swastika meant. The thing was trying to emanate. To the outside of this town, to the outside world, to paint the entire universe anew in its own color. I would not allow it. I clutched Shiro's body even tighter in my arms. He would never move again or speak. And neither would Kasumi or Honjo. His body was still warm, yet it was empty inside. The castle had swallowed everything that constituted him. Hello there. It's been some time. I was too enraged to speak. I looked up to see a smiling Reinhard looking at me from above with narrowed golden eyes, and the battalion of 3 at his side. I wasn't gonna let Shiro become cannon fodder for these assholes. No way in hell! I'd save him no matter what. I hoped he'd at least let me make that one promise. I'd send them back to hell, where they belonged! Yes! Show upon me this form! I'm sorry. The moment I laid eyes upon this form, I about lost my goddamn mind, but boy do I fucking love it! My body changed, I unleashed my bloodlust. I let go of the reins restricting my consciousness, forgetting everything and turning into the ultimate blade that sought only vengeance. Tears? Promises? I could hear nothing. I was the cause of it all. Everything happened because of my presence. Kasumi's family, Shiro, this whole city. Had I not been here, nothing would have happened. Me not knowing my place and seeking only my own happiness resulted in nothing but senseless bloodshed. I had to pay for what I'd done. There was no place for outsiders here anymore. It was time for the very causes of this tragedy, me and those two bastards, to clash and put an end to everything. I could regret and apologize all I wanted, but it was already too late. And so the best I could do was make sure nothing like this would ever happen again. Karl Croft, Reinhard Heydrich. I couldn't allow those two to exist. I wouldn't acknowledge a world where they survived. If I was but a tool of their creation, then I would answer their wishes, delivering to them the unknown they so coveted, an absolute and certain death. Stairs made of the bones of the dead descended from the magical circle in the sky. They were the steps leading to Valhalla. I glared at the villain standing at its top. Oh, goody! Driven by a surge of unbridled rage, I dashed up the steps in ungodly speed. Oh, this ought to be good. Hello. Up in the heights beyond the clouds, Reinhard gazed down upon the mortal world with a tender smile on his lips. Sonnenkind unfastened the final change binding the castle. The Lord of the Dead, the absolute supreme being of the cosmos, took a step in the mortal world. This was a perfect reenactment of the trek through hell that Isak had initiated. The spot in the sky was the throne, and to reach it one had to conquer 3 layers of hell. Nibelheim, Muspelheim, Midgard. Reinhard, his long coat fluttering in the wind, solemnly parted his lips. The very same command as before. His peerless champions of the dead, the battalion of 3, obeyed. Oh my god.
Ah, I plead with you, O Reaper of Souls, leave me be.
The first to answer his order was the Ashen Knight, the fastest being under the sun.
Go far and touch me not, for I am still young and warm with life's breath.
The disordered and confused craving aligned itself to perfection the very instant it was graced by the gold's words. His mind was still broken beyond repair, but yet it was precisely in this state that he could unleash his true power.
Hear me not and take my hand, fair and beautiful one. I am your friend and came with no intention to harm you.
The antinomy of rejection and desiring the touch of another. With the contradiction pointed out by Trifa remaining unsolved, he acted out the two roles as one, an undertaking as hopelessly mad as his own broken mind. Such was the engine that fueled his inhuman speed. No one could catch him, and so he, capable of catching all, was indeed a mixed ally forged of death and a maiden. Interesting how we're putting death and a maiden in action. You know what, fuck it. Women are badass, so in that regard, I'd probably die immediately. Fair enough. Death and maiden, hand in hand. He who fled, and he who captured, unable to even ascertain its own sex, the whirlwind of chaos bared its fangs of the furious hunger. Oh, she's on. Okay, they're all okay. I'm really fucked. I'm like that meme, I'm in danger.
No man more honest ever took an oath, none more the truth made treaty, none was more pure in love.
The Crimson Knightess came second, singing the aria in her usual matter-of-fact tone. The orders of her lord and master meant everything to her. She would carry out all his commands without a second's hesitation. Her crimson pyres would devour the approaching rebel.
And yet none so betrayed all oaths, all treaties, his truest love. Answer me, O mortal man, can you understand why?
I'm suddenly turning into Morgana every time I'm starting to speak through her perspective. Passionate love that scorched her from within, the zealous faith in her master manifested itself as an all-devouring conflagration. Big boy time! Death, O glorious, final death, savior of man. While the somber knight of impregnable iron silently trembled, where his emotions, thought to be long dead, stirred alive once more. My heart drowned in venom, ravaged by time, may beat its last within your embrace. May spears wound, may venom's bane, all perish at your coming. He could feel his hollow heart beat again. The Iron Giant rejoiced at the unbinding of his full power, feeling a certain kind of kinship with the traces of deep-rooted emotion drifting in the air. I, behold, this festering void gnawing at my soul. That is right. You should not forgive him, Isak. A foe to be felled, the source to be banished. If you truly detest him with every fiber of your being, then channel more power into your art. You may use my creed and lifeless carcass to your heart's content. This lifeblood, its crimson pearls, feeding the earth, this malice, ever coursing my veins. Behold! Clasp your blade, draw your steel. Oh wait, this lifeblood, its crimson pearls feeding the earth, this mouse ever coursing my veins, behold. Clasp your blade, draw your steel, and plunge deep, deep to the hilt. These iron fists shall close the curtains on all that the obsidian Mercury had wrought. Oh fuck, he's still going!
Ah, there is nary a need to be afraid and startled, for no one shall hurt you. May you rest in my embrace, O beloved one, and enjoy everlasting repose.
The resulting force field absorbed all energy in the air with rumbling creaks, intensifying the heat ever further.
And so shall I be reborn as the fire that cleanses our sacred halls of Valhalla.
The world would soon bear witness to the full prowess of the Obsidian Table's indomitable Einrayar. Hark, brave knights, and know this. They all face that approaching avatar of fury. As the sinner finds his last refuge, his anguish done, so shall divine light be showered from the heavens above. The final hour of Ragnarok drew nigh. The collective roar of the three demigods pierced the world.
The all-devouring beast of the abyss. Harrowing sword of inferno.
End of the mortal realm. Oh boy! A storm of utter devastation swept across the cosmos. The main actors, the supporting cast, the sacrifices, all had been assembled upon the stage. The long-awaited day of wrath, the Dies Irae, had dawned amidst a torrential surge of passion and zeal. In that very instance, crimson pyres surrounding the stairway to the throne, eliminating oxygen, thus allowing for no place to hide. The canvas of the sky turned into one colossal furnace. It mercilessly scorched all in its path without exception, its raging hellfire of inescapable death never faltering, never waning.
これを人前で見せるのは初めてだ。光栄に思え小僧。貴様の気概、貴様の力、認め剣を抜いてやったのだ。失望させてくれるなよ。
Eleanor's world manifested in the form of an inferno. Her blazing gale, rivaling the heat of freshly erupted lava, represented the Crimson Knightess's ardent craving to forever burn in the passionate luster of her lord.
共に波動だ。力比べといこう。私の魂を凍らせることなど誰にもできんぞ。
Eleanor looked down upon the man as he plunged into her world. The effective range of her weapon. While she too had already entered Ren's world, there was no longer any hint of stagnation visible on her demeanor. And the same was equally true for the two others. What he said! Schreiber flew down from the steps with a ferocious howl, always one step ahead of Ren in terms of speed. Eleanor's fire scorched him alive, yet the crimson blood pouring from his right eye stood testament to the boundless nature of his inner legion. As long as he commanded that, he would regenerate even from the gravest of injuries, forever dashing onwards at an inhuman speed. The somber knight shattered the flames around him with a heavy fist. Contrary to Schreiber, he cruelly descended the stairs with the weight of lump iron, his lips completely sealed. It would have been next to impossible to shatter the entirety of Eleanor's creation figment, but he could at least momentarily destroy the fiery space around him. He considered the impending battle to be sacred and would allow for no interference. Though his craving hadn't weakened in the slightest, Ren's world had no effect on any of the battalion commanders. Impossible. Even amidst his blinding fury, Ren couldn't help but feel thoroughly astonished. He gazed at Schreiber, closing in on him like a shooting star in utter amazement. Watching over the unfolding spectacle, Eleanor smirked.
誤解させたようですまなかったな。先日の不甲斐なさを詫びさせてもらおう。あれは我々にとっても不本意だ。これが私たちの全力だ。
Yay, I'm gonna die! With the opening of the 8th swastika, they had all reached their respective peaks, combined with Reinhard's own blessing through the emanation of his castle. In a way, the two were on the Atziluth degree. The situation might have turned out differently had this been a one-on-one confrontation. But with all three attacking him at the same time, not even Red's hegemony possessed the power to halt them.
不動のままである方が良かった。分散させては落ちる。薄い。まあ、もっとも。
She paused and directed her will to space before, collapsing upon itself with a condensed explosion as it's molded into a spear.
それではそのけだものに甲子園か。
A spear carrying the heat of a volcanic eruption shot towards Ren. Can I have what he's having? Shiraiber too was right before his eyes. The Crimson Knightess projectile overtook Machina, aiming to skewer Ren alongside the rabid beast. It aligned with Schreiber's position completely, vanishing from Ren's sight. A blind spot. Schreiber dodged it a split second before it impaled him. Wearing him down through hegemony's influence was the only way to harm a beast, considering his constant avoidance of another's touch through his own craving. And that, albeit unplanned, turned out to be a brilliant cooperative maneuver. The spear crashed into Ren's chest and exploded, completely incinerating the young man inside out. He had no time to even scream in pain. After dodging the spear, Schreiber changed his direction midair and fell right onto the young man's neck. Ren used one of his blades to cover the weak spot in the spur of the moment, but that was not enough to neutralize the full brunt of the blow, which ultimately sent him tumbling up the stairs. Up the stairs? Where Machina was already waiting for him. His iron fist soared through the air, extinguishing all flames in its wake. Ren dodged it sideways, escaping with his life by a hair's breadth, but in that very moment a volley of burning spears showered him from above like a downpour. Oh, goody! There were no gaps in their defense. No! You're fighting three ultimate beings at the same time, and they can each cancel each other out. But if they're working together in some kind of fucked up situation, which, to be fair, they're really not caring two shits about each other's lives because, then again, they're immortal Irae are. Working together, you're fucked! Unless you can bend the laws of reality to the point where you can basically make them turn against each other, or cancel their abilities. You're fucked! Actually, wait a minute. In that case, the better order would have to be to take care of... Let's see. I think in terms of durability, I would believe that, probably Machina is a little bit more durable. So it'd probably be best to go ahead and get rid of the first hegemony, get rid of Eleanor first. That would leave you with just Machina and Schreiber, and then start focusing on Machina, and then leave Schreiber for last. That, or somehow redirect all of their attacks back at each other. Stop laughing at me! The laugh that caressed his ears was one of ridicule and jubilation. Indeed, she must have been quite happy with herself. The one to create this situation had no doubt been Eleanor. The battalion of three would never cooperate, but she, a sniper with the eyes of a hawk, used the other two for her designs with perfect precision. On the other hand, Machina and Schreiber deserved to be commended for being able to keep up with their strategy. Eleanor cared little for the safety of her comrades. Duh. As proof, the flames of Muspelheim swept up everyone in their fiery onslaught without distinction. She did not care whether or not her comrades perished. Yet they were all too capable to be used as mere sacrificial pawns. And even that was all part of her calculations. Such inhumanity, such boldness and sheer insight. They were all champions like no other. They had mastered the art of survival and killing with utmost perfection, becoming guiding stars upon the field of battle. They had discussed nothing in advance, yet existed in perfect sync with each other. The last 60 years they had spent killing each other in the castle were not without meaning. Blood and corpses forged their bond harder than any steel.
何やら身に余る評価を受けているように思えるが、少し訂正してやろう。
Okay, Miss Samuel. Eleanor contorted her half-burned face as she observed Ren struggling with Machina and Schreiber while under attack by a downpour of projectiles. Being able to fully unleash her true power had indeed filled her with elation.
こんな場所を戦場に選んだ貴様が迂闊なだけなのだよ。まあ、何にせよ、引きずり込む気ではあったがね。足場が限られて、空は飛べまい。では、その刃どうやって私に届かせる？力ずくで突破するには、 いささか以上に無理があると思わんか。
The staircase of the dead was far too narrow to allow ample movement for two adults, nor was it an effective place to utilize superior speed. Schreiber dashed through the sky, using the ripples in the air caused by the explosions as his footing. Ren could probably attempt the same tactic, but being one step behind in speed, he would only end up instantly getting knocked down towards the ground. And under these circumstances, it was the other warrior who appeared to be more fearsome of the two. He's the one shot. He's the one punch man. What do you expect? The somber knight launching punch after punch in complete silence, with each blow rivaling aerial bombardment in terms of power. Getting through him would be nigh impossible. He miscalculated his approach, foolishly leaping straight into the jaws of death, more or less out of his own volition. Or did he? Did his anger blind him to the extent that he'd failed to realize something so blatantly obvious? No, that was not the case.
孫子ではないがね、勝敗は前もって決まっているのだよ。くだらん干渉など捨ててしまえばよかったもの。それほどまであのちっぽけな修練を壊されるのが嫌だった。
Ren knew full well that this place amounted to certain death, yet he still couldn't allow himself to fight on the ground.
友人の亡骸にもはや魂が宿っておらぬことは知っているだろう。ならば肉が燃やされたからといって何だという。そしてそれはシャンバラしかり。すでに誰も残っておる。皆黄金に溶けて。残骸。残骸だよ。死体に過ぎん。戦士ならばそんなものにすがりつくな。死者しか抱けぬものなどヘドが出る。ああ。私はそういう輩に虫唾が走る性分なのだよ。
Rude. Eleanor summoned another fiery projectile, her chilling smile colored by a hint of anger, and so her hegemony bolstered the flames of the all-devouring conflagration even further.
死体ならば燃やし尽くす。同窓はこのまま万象灰となり果てればいい。ダビデとシビラの予言のごとく。 DS 入れを歌ってくれ。
Roll credits.
貴様はもとよりそのためだけの楽器であろうが。
Her tone and features showed not a sliver of change, yet the flames of incandescent fury had indeed lit up within her chest.
泣けよ。貴様の慟哭はぬるすぎるのだ。
Okay. A giant fireball, like the flames of hell itself, shot after Ren at an inconceivable speed. At the same time, Muspelheim's conflagration reached its limit, momentarily setting Machina on fire. Even Schreiber, who dodged the attack at the last second, could not avoid the blaze as he landed. A nuclear explosion went off below the magic circle. Ren felt his entire body burn and be reduced to ash. Even Machina and Schreiber, who unlike Ren had avoided a direct hit, failed to escape the blast unscathed. Yet they were the immortal Einarjar. Even in the face of an explosion that decimated everything in the blink of an eye, the two warriors continued their relentless assault, enduring the pain while regenerating all the body parts they had lost to the flames. The approaching ashen light, the soaring somber fists, the raging crimson flames. In that moment of absolute and impending death, Ren's time decelerated to such an extent that not even he was entirely conscious of it. Names of the people he lost.
Shiro.
The childhood friends he spent more than a decade with. Did he cling to their corpses? Was using them as an excuse to run away? Was anger merely an escape mechanism so he could avoid facing the truth? Despite boasting inhuman speed, had he in fact been at a complete standstill all this time? They told him he couldn't protect anyone, and reality had taught him he could save no one. He grieved his own lack of power and cursed his ignorance. Despite it all, he still made an earnest oath to prove victorious no matter the cost. But how? Merely doing one's best wasn't going to be enough. Ah, that too was something he'd been told by someone before. When thoughts flashed through his mind when he was told to flee and stay safe? What thoughts? Sadness, frustration, misery? He felt as if his entire existence had been declared to be of no great importance in the grand scheme of things. And now, he did seem completely useless. Was that all he could accomplish? Was this truly the end? Ren leapt into the air with a howl. He had yet to try everything. Eleanor observed him with mixed admiration, contempt, and jubilation. She found the spectacle marvelous, and would have considered it most unfortunate to have it end here, on such a low note.
七でこそさらなる七。ああ、正解だよ。英雄とはそういうものだ。力が足りなければただの間抜けに過ぎんがね。
Her biting remark was not without a sliver of truth. The air was the realm of the rabid beast. Whatever! Schreiber launched into the air, using Machina's fist as a springboard. He lost his leg for having come into contact with that instrument of absolute annihilation, but he paid it no heed. I'll just grow another one! He tore off the chains of eternal stagnation through sheer strength alone. No one besides the gold could bind him, he could catch up with Ren even if he accelerated to the speed of light. Even while being boiled alive, the sole eye of the rabid beast, starved for carnage and destruction, would never let its prey out of sight. Ren put his all into meeting that whirlwind. The blades on his back fluttered like wings, assaulting his foe at the peak of his speed. Yet still they failed to land a hit. Time and again, he would evade the boy's steel, suffering no injuries whatsoever. Duh! In that 1,000th of a millisecond, Schreiber evaded over 100 deadly strikes. His agility to move midair at pretty much imperceptible speed had gone beyond ludicrous. Schreiber ripped out the bigger half of Ren's left thigh as they passed each other, the very part of his body that would have been critical for a counterattack. This was no coincidence. It was a predator through and through, regardless of what state his mind was in. Hunting was another form of filling his stomach, and as such, his instincts would never allow him to fail at bringing down his prey. Schreiber was both faster and more experienced. They could have fought for 1,000 years and the situation would have not changed at all. Still, that did not mean he could let his guard down. He would still always choose the best and most effective way to end his prey. The rabid beast's instincts turned it into a one-track machine of slaughter. Schreiber changed his trajectory again, and lunged at Ren from above in an upside-down position. The young man had no time to dodge. Realizing that in an instant he chose to meet the Ashen Knight head-on. Perhaps he could catch him in the moment to temporarily relax his offense. A doubtless, naive thought. He screamed like never before! It was the genuine roar of a feral beast. Schreiber, seeing through the intentions of his prey in a heartbeat, chose the most effective way to deal with it. His howl, potent enough to shatter Wilhelm's roses, assaulted Ren's eardrums with demonic ferocity, tearing them to shreds and sending his mind into momentarily confusion. Blood gushed forth from Ren's head as he plummeted downwards, only to be met by an opponent that hardly needed description. Oh, of course not. Hello there, remember me? There was no one more worthy to deliver the final blow. The fallen hero stood there, stalwart and impregnable, his fists surrounded by a demonic force that warped the very air around them. Ren was a mess of broken bones and torn flesh. Muspelheim's incessant hellfire scorched Machina just the same, but he paid it no heed. It wasn't like it failed to hurt him. He did certainly feel the heat. The battalion of 3 were all equal in strength, and not even the Iron Warrior could endure the Crimson Knightess's ultimate weapon indefinitely. If this endured, Machina too would eventually fall. He could prolong his life by destroying the flames around him, or perhaps kill Eleanor altogether, but he chose to do neither. He prioritized defeating Ren above all else. His long sought-after desire lay beyond that outcome, which meant that to him no other option was truly available. He did not mind being burned or reduced to ashes. He had no love for this body of a cursed machine. All that mattered was his soul. All he had to protect was his honor. He had to face his greatest foe before he lost his conviction of being himself, to catch up to the end he had missed. As such, he channeled his entire being into his fists and... but a split second before his all-ending fist could crash into Ren's chest.
終わりだ。
Eleanor knew the young man's death to be unavoidable at this point. Even the maddened beast, through sheer instinct, could tell that his prey would soon perish. And of course, Machina had been just as convinced of the finality his next attack would deliver. He channeled all his emotions into a solemn silence, mentally uttering his farewells to his sworn nemesis. However...
どう見るカールよ。
Reinhard smiled, his golden gaze gleamed not with the scorn towards a defeated warrior, but with genuine anticipation. The shade of Mercury answered with the same kind of nuance in his laugh. Marie. The girl reached out to the falling young man. Rhea continued her prayer from within the crucible of the castle. Moments before Machina's all-ending fist would eradicate both my body and soul, the only thing burning in my heart was an adamant refusal to give up. I didn't want to die. Like hell I could die now. I wouldn't let up until I sent all these assholes to Kingdom Come. Shiro left everything to me. Himuro believed in me. I had no choice but to win. I'd long passed the stage where complaining or giving up was still an option. I hadn't the slightest intention to lose. And to prove it, the rules of my creation figment were still active, extending this moment to an eternity. I could dodge this. It definitely wasn't impossible for me to evade this punch and continue the fight. However, what was I supposed to do afterwards? I'd placed everything I had on the line, and I still stood no chance. I couldn't even imagine a way to break through these three. I wasn't exactly bemoaning my fate, but I needed something to fill me with new strength. My power was finite, so I couldn't waste it. Unless I figured out a way to end the entire battle with my next counterattack, I'd probably end up losing, even if I escaped this particular situation with my life. But... I can't read it. That was one thing I couldn't possibly choose. If my craving emanated, it would ultimately turn the world into a place worse than hell. Back when I rescued Himuro from the castle, it was that very fact that pulled me back to the realm of sanity as my finale teetered on the brink of going berserk. In that moment, I learned everything. And the so-called throne, about emanation, about the true identities of Karl Kraft and myself, as well as what would happen if my craving emanated. As such, I couldn't possibly choose that path. It would destroy the very reason why I fought Reinhard, and end up merely painting over one hell with another. Shiro didn't sacrifice his life for something like that. Himuro didn't muster her courage for me to leave that world in ruins. Neither Kasumi nor Honjo, nor the Obsidian Table members that sacrificed themselves wished for anything of the kind. I had to find a way to grant them release. I, as a man who had failed to protect everything he held dear, had to at least find a way to save and grant their souls some form of respite. But where could I find such a path? I suddenly heard Marie's voice ringing in my ears. We both thought that to be the case. It's all because of me. We were both tormented by the same guilt, the same tendency to wallow in self-denial. That was why I covered my ears. Why I didn't want to get her involved. I made a mistake by severing my connection with Marie, fearing she would only end up tainted by my foolishness. I couldn't defend a world of eternal stagnation. It was easily worse than any other hell I could imagine. I didn't want her to see it. I didn't want her to know about it. I didn't want Marie to see through me, only to find herself disillusioned. I couldn't allow her to be tainted anymore. My Atziluth encompassed the worst nightmare imaginable, a horrific aspiration of condensed selfishness. An abomination that would change all around it into phantasms. I myself wished to become the ephemeral moment, and to achieve that, I would have frozen all life around me to an unmoving, lifeless picture. I would marvel at it, I would adore it, an aspiration belonging to the vilest god in existence. It wasn't something I wished for her to see. She was the only one worthy of the throne. Be it Reinhard, Mercurius, or me, all we could birth were demented hellscapes built from people's worst nightmares. As such, it would have probably been better for the best of us. The three catastrophic stooges to disappear from the face of the earth, but...
Senpai.
Muro. She could mock me all she wanted, but I wished to share my life with her. Yet my finale was far from enough, and unleashing my Atziluth was entirely out of the question. I no longer knew what I had to do to save all those poor souls in the castle. I could no longer wipe her tears. I felt myself the most despicable man in existence. I certainly lived up to my name as Karl Kraft's substitute. Even though I'd just admitted that, why did she still... Why did she still insist on reaching out towards me? I saw how you cried and suffered. I heard how you condemned yourself in a trembling voice. I wasn't the only one whose emotions leaked through the rift. Her feelings were like an open book to me. There was no need for her to force herself, or to try and act so composed. Who was she trying to fool? Who was to blame for this? The fool ignoring her all this time had finally removed his earplugs. That was why she put on such a desperate act. Amazing display of tenacity for sure. And her acting was quite something too. But it wasn't just working. It just wasn't working. She had yet to learn how to read the mood. And the thought of it made my heart sink like never before. Kind and resolute on the surface, but crying on the inside. Everyone I allowed to slip through my fingers. And the last person I swore never to let go. Muro was right.
悪い癖だったな。
I understood that, more than I would have liked to. Shiro hit me like a billion times, reiterating the same thing, and now through Marie I could tell how painful it felt for the person on the other end. They both acted as mirrors for me. Shiro gave his life to provide me with a way into Valhalla. I couldn't allow myself to fail here. I knew that better than anyone, and yet... Did she not see who I was? Did she truly wish to tarnish herself with my craving? She told me she wanted to embrace me, but... All and everything. Marie promised to reclaim all that I allowed to slip through my grasp. And with that, I finally realized that similarly to how the information flowed to me through my connection with the throne, it reached Marie as well through her connection with me. She had probably learned everything. When Mercury found himself captivated by our brawl to such an extent that his gaze completely left her side, her eyes opened to the truth. She was hurt by it and ultimately made this decision. In order to guide our actions, to provide a solution, she willingly accepted a cruel, thankless role. Her soul had told me everything. I could understand it without words. In that case, how was I supposed to answer her? Merely doing one's best wasn't going to be enough. What thoughts flashed through my mind when I was told to flee and stay safe? Sadness, frustration, misery. He felt as if his entire existence had been declared to be of no great importance in the grand scheme of things. All I wanted was for my loved ones to smile. I didn't want their expression to cloud over because of me. I wished for Marie to smile. I wished to live with Rei Himuro.
助けてほしい。
My heart cried out with pure, earnest intentions.
力を貸してほしい。
Hoping for this tragedy to never be repeated.
信じさせてほしい。
Reality had no place for phantasms. We could only ever be men. We shouldn't have aspired to be more than that. To remain an ephemeral moment, to protect and cherish its brilliance.
手を伸ばす勇気をくれ。
だったら
Her voice was gentle, like a mother's.
俺は
I felt myself in the goddess's embrace.
俺たちは二度と負けない。
I could now believe in that with the entirety of my heart and soul. Oh, I know what's playing! And in that moment, the ultimate form of transcendence, the apotheosis of all thought and emotion, swept across the entire cosmos.
バカな。
A scene too absurd to be believed unfolded right before Eleanor's eyes. The young man had received the full brunt of the Somber Knight's all-ending attack, the creation figment of Deus Ex Machina, yet he refused to go down. And on top of that, Einsatz! Her arms, legs, and fingers grew rigid, consumed by the stagnation of time. Little by little, she found herself unable to move. The battalion of three shrugged off the finale with ease mere moments before, yet now, even when they stood nigh powerless before its terrible shackles, cold and ruthless like ice, yet warm like a passionate embrace, the tale of transcendence and the legion of millions to the gallows.
お前たちは逃げたんだ。
And the guillotine in question was wielded by the princess and her inherent executioner. Their decree would not allow for a single phantasm to stay.
耐えられなかったんだろう。現実に生きることが。
They couldn't find it in themselves to live as ephemeral moments, as mere flashes of light doomed to fade. Yet like the rest of mankind, whether or not it happened through their own wishes, they all became phantasms shackled to everlasting death, choosing then to sever those very chains. To offer one final requiem to those forever trapped in their graves.
俺たちは永遠になれない。幻想になったお前たちは結局今でも何をしてもその手に掴むことができないんだ。
The Ashen Knight was the first to react to the decreed sentence.
私は負けない。私は不死身だ。二度と誰にも奪われたりしない。僕はいいんだ。逃げたんじゃない。誰もついてこれないだけだ。知った上な口を聞くな。
Insanity birthed through the antinomonious fusion of death into Maiden. His madness would not acknowledge the decrees of anyone but the gold. He tore off his own frozen limbs, turning into a whirlwind of fangs. His body refused to regenerate, his limbs remaining missing, and above all else, the source of his obsession, the legion dwelling within his right eye, remained completely silent. He finally seemed to have run out of fuel. And without it, Anna Schreiber was but a brittle maiden. Only one question swirled in his broken mind as the guillotine's blade went for his neck. Why? Why did it all happen with such convenient timing? Did he make a mistake somewhere? He'd endured Bay's roses. He'd endured Samuel's cannon. Nibelheim should have been without boundaries. He should have been able to soar faster than anyone for all eternity. Why did everything fall apart in this moment? What could have been the cause of it? As his thoughts, in their madness, traversed back to the past, he suddenly found himself staring into the reason behind it all. Yes! If only he hadn't met that man there, he would have remained an indomitable Einrjar. The blade of execution claimed his head. The gale it left during its journey through the air felt oddly warm, as if trying to gently envelop him. You have officially been embraced by the goddess. Farewell, Wolfgang Schreiber. Wolfgang Schreiber's head, severed from its neck, danced in the sky the very moment he realized his true craving for the first time in his life. Oh, you're next, honey. Eleanor howled at the top of her lungs, focusing all her will upon the space before. So what if stagnation shackled her limbs? Rage blinded her to it. A most deplorable falsehood, words she deemed utterly unforgivable. The fire burning in her chest was neither fantasy nor illusion. It was he who cloaked himself in illusions, he who lived his life like a shadow, and so it was none other than his puppet that seemed closest to the brittle unreality of a dream. Indeed, a phantasm through and through. As such, she firmly refused to acknowledge his words. She would not allow anyone to deny the purity of the flame she pledged to the impregnable gold. She simply couldn't.
私の血を侮辱するな!
The conflagration of Muspelheim condensed and fell upon the executioner like a colossal blade. A cannonball she channeled all her knightly pride, her very soul into. No one could evade it. No one could withstand it. However,
なぜだ?
it froze to a lump of ice and fell completely harmless before reaching her foe. The sight conveyed a terrible truth, that Eleanor's plea had paled in comparison to Ren.
私の思いが幻想に過ぎんだと!
Impossible, inconceivable. She rejected the notion with her entire being, fixing her eyes on the impending blade of execution with seething indignation. But the moment the boy's freezing stagnation reached up to her neck, a memory flashed through her turbulent mind. The sensation of a biting numbness on her left cheek. Lisa! A complete blunder. The most disgraceful fight of her life. How she could have failed to dodge that sorry excuse for an attack baffled Eleanor still. Regardless of what others claimed, fealty would forever remain fealty. Much like flames would remain flames. However, never before in her life had Eleanor experienced the humiliation of being unable to rebuke an accusation. That uncertainty left an irreparable wound on her soul. The anxiety that it could happen again infected her mind. And that very anguish proved to be the agent of her second disgrace. There was nothing else that could have caused it. That accursed Brenner had certainly outdone herself this time. An outcome so infuriating, Eleanor could not help wishing to have another fight with the shameless nun. She should have been more than tired of their incessant clashes, yet their bickering was likely there to stay for as long as either of them still drew breath. Fare thee well, Ruvero! Eleanor von Wittenberg's severed head danced in the air with a wisp of smoke escaping through the slits of a wry smile. Only one remained. However, the two utterly bewildering phenomena occurred. Machina moved. The moment Ren entered his effective range, a fist of absolute destruction was launched at him with nary a hint of declaration. The decree that bound both the Crimson Knightess and the Ashen Knight had no effect on the somber giant whatsoever, but at the same time, Ren also sealed his fists. In short, they now were equally in danger. The souls of the two could not escape their mutual bond of parity. Machina uttered not a single word. He realized everything without the need to point it out, understanding that this would end up being their final clash. He cared little about his ultimate attack, being shrugged off. That outcome might have seemed an utter impossibility to anyone of sane mind, and yet for some reason he felt that this was how things were meant to transpire. He could not contain a self-derisive smile. He had declared his battles to be the final crusade numerous times now. And each time it was as if his adversary had been telling him of the casual relationship of the two. It should have been impossible, but it was not beyond imagination. The information flowing to him from the young man caused Machina to be overcome by a premonition of sorts, and he would convey it all back to him with his fists. Machina wondered, did the other, his former brother-in-arms, remember? In a different time, he apparently told himself something definitive, and its result seemed to be bearing fruit right in front of his eyes. A notion worthy to be called a mad delusion, yet he felt it to be true. And it would pave the way towards a conclusion both fitting and final for both of them. A certain kind of conviction lit up Machina's withered heart. He felt with absolute certainty that the true end was nigh. Therefore, he retained his unwavering composure despite the advent of a second aberration. No way! Rusalka? A second aberration. A sea of shadows exploded beneath Ren's feet. It was another embodiment of stagnation. Rusalka, Schwaglin's most powerful technique. The two occurrences surprised only Ren, with Machina faltering not an inch, and yet... It was Machina's severed head that shot into the air. He had once shattered her Natsira with ease, yet in the midst of the final exchange between evenly matched opponents, even a millisecond's delay would translate to certain death. An Ananherbe to control other Ananherbe. It was the final display of prideful stubbornness from a witch whose soul had been crushed by a certain someone to open the sixth swastika. She left a part of herself inside Ren, oh my god! Machina remained silent, yet the features of his severed head eternally froze into a mask of triumph. In that split second, Ren stopped to ponder. Ah, so you have, or rather, you too. Oh, this is, oh! I think I was told about this. I was told that I was told that there was going to be two obvious, very special paths that were going to pop up. And I think this is it. Okay. There was one that I was told that I need to go with. I believe I was told I need to do this one first. And now that the Transcendent Mercury, spectating the final act as it unfolded. Nor the Golden Harbinger, standing atop a magic circle stretching across the canvas of the far heavens, could refrain from expressing their joy. The souls of the Crimson Rubedo and the Man Albedo, defeated in the very same moment, joined with the Iron Negrito to return unto Reinhard's breast. Coiling back into his ever-swelling legion, peerless in prowess across all the cosmos. Although not even he could tell what that might be. Seeing his sworn friend off with a meager glance, Reinhard once again shifted his gaze downwards. There were countless things he would have wished to discuss, but for now, he would focus his attention on the finale of this opera, and the conclusion it would impart upon them. The gift of the unknown. His heart danced with excitement. A certain man once told him that he was not releasing his full potential. Those words were indistinguishable from the delusion of a young man intoxicated with a feeling of omnipotence, but he was exactly that, a being that didn't belong in this world. Nothing he beheld would move him. His heart was a stranger to true liberty, the thrill of victory. Never had he felt satisfaction as men did when a great obstacle crumbled beneath their feet. He would make that logic of his universal, and so the world would behold the true power of the monarch of destruction. He would ravage, absorb, and paint the cosmos anew in his color. The world fit for him would be born in its wake, bursting forth in a torrent as it emanated, washing away the olden law that once was. And thus, in this very moment, he had to identify the one who would receive the very essence of his being in mortal battle. For becoming what they were, his opponents were truly worthy of his love. And so he could finally utter the question that tormented him for eons. How could he topple this accursed foreknowledge incessantly swirling within his breast? Okay. He returned his adversary's fierce glare. And thus began their finale, grander than any struggle fought before, an exquisite clash to end it all. He had long since yearned for this moment, enduring the ever-present torment of that wretched ghetto. This would be the final battle in its truest sense, leading us to a genuine conclusion. To grant all our wishes, to make sure history never repeats itself again.
None
of your business? The Spear of Destiny and the Blade of Decapitation clashed, each of our respective strikes imbued with all our strength. It would have hardly been a surprise to see the fight ended within the very first attack. However, the result was different. Even in the face of Reinhard, I stood my ground and managed to engage him in a fight. I could neither grasp the extent of my growth, nor feel joyous about finally reaching his level. All I cared about was figuring out the best way to end this fight. For clashing against him would eventually stop being a simple matter of life and death.
絆というならこれほど強固なものはない。影と光は決して単体ではありえんのだ。
Both Reinhard and myself were emanating our worlds as we spoke. The victor of this duel would paint the world anew in his color, which I couldn't allow to happen, neither for him nor myself. Both Reinhard's Dies Irae and my Zarathustra were hells of the vilest kind, most certainly not something that should spread and infect the world. As such, I had to use Marie. I could derail this madness as long as I had her gentle embrace supporting me. We should be mere stepping stones for her ascension to the throne, but to make that happen, I still need to take care of a few things.
友とはそれか。生と死か。ならば破壊の愛をまとう私は何だという。
I would do precisely what that friend of Reinhard hoped for, but I wouldn't let everything go his way. The two of them had gone too far. They robbed me of too many things. Every single one of them had their lives and dreams, lovers, family, or friends. No matter how insignificant it may have seemed to an outsider, they all had stories of their own. And Mercurius, that accursed god of malevolence, toyed with them all. While Reinhard, the Mephistopheles of beguiling light, consumed their souls with hollow promises of power and glory. We would liberate those souls from your prison. That was all I, Marie, and Immortal wished for. I knew what I had to do.
私は何を壊すために存在するのだ。
Reinhard addressed me with an intention to confirm, rather than inquire. Who was he? There was but one answer to that.
お前は悪魔だ。
悪魔か。確かにカールもそう言っていたな。ケイラの語らい、実に見せられたよ。胸が震えた。力の強弱、起こせる事象の大小など問題ではない。あれこそが、あの工場こそが全ての真理だ。愛し合い、思い合い、喰らい合い、壊し合う。敬とその友に敬意を払おう。教師たる者には礼をもって尽くさねばならん。なあ、故に教えてくれぬかな。私のうちに渦巻く遭遇、その一滴と化した友に何を願う。K は彼をどのように定義している。
As our weapons clashed at ridiculous speeds, Reinhard threw one question after another my way. The definition of a friend, to me, Shiro was essentially what that abomination was to him. Yin and Yang, Shiro was the blade of destruction that incessantly forced me to move forward against my wishes, the repugnant light guiding my way. Our relationships have been exactly the same, with only one decisive difference, the potency of our radiance.
あいつらは先行だ。
And not only him. Everyone whom I wish to protect and keep forever locked in time with myself.
俺の好きな、俺の刹那だ。
The sunlit respites I so long to protect.
刹那、つまり歌方の夢に過ぎんと。夢ならば与えてやろう。願うならば叶えてやろう。誰もが胸に思い描き、その主役となるのを望む非日常ならここにある。
The holy lance pierced the sky in magnificent arcs, leaving shimmers of light in its wake, while the guillotine's blade slashed through the air without hitting its target. Yet Reinhard continued his monologue, paying little attention to the ongoing battle.
殴れば倒れ、撃たれれば死に、与えられた肩書きを取り払えば皆同じだ。賠償なり。それに不満を持つ心、あいて飢えて苦しく望む断崖の果てにこそ私が送る祝福が存在する。そこに飛翔する翼がいるなら少年の夢となればいい。刹那が愛しければ幻想になるしかあるまい。K の友はそうなった。死後の夢ならば 映画を見させてやろうではないか。
Yeah, fuck you! I swung my blade with all my strength, parrying the flash of the Holy Lance, and continued with a swift consecutive strike as he was rendered momentarily open.
今のここに、この胸にある。
I could still feel the beating of their hearts, the shimmers of their light.
消えちゃいない、なくしていない。
I still had light in my soul, and it was precisely the pride it stilled in me that allowed me to stand my ground here. So,
幻想になんか、あいつらを幻想になんか変えてたまるか。
I'd never acknowledge your dream of the dead.
もうこれ以上俺の刹那を何一つお前たちに奪わせない。
And for that, I would erase the throne of this fucked up world if it was the last thing I did. So nothing like this could ever happen again. My ephemeral light would not yield to your gold.
現実を生きる。刹那を抱いて誇りに変え、私を否定するのがKの境地か。はい、わかった。ああ、美しいな。確かに先行であろうよ。だが私の刹那はもう過ぎ去った。破壊の光は先行であった頃のラインハルト・ハイドリヒに戻れんのだよ。私も共に壊されたのでな。
His voice rang with the antinomy of envy and ridicule. Reinhard pointed the tip of his lance at me, stifling a smile.
さて、先日の続きだ。見事これを止めてみたまえ。
Okie dokie.
K の光、ただの刹那であれば飲み込むまでよ。見せてくれ。幻想にはならぬと言ったそのレギオンを。
May it turn into a star illuminating the path of truth.
あるいはそれで私も夢から覚めるやもしれん。
He wished me to remind him of the time-worn moment. His essence morphed into the light of destruction. And so the golden light erupted. I could feel its condensed destruction chafe my skin from here. The thing had been on a whole other level compared to what I witnessed at the castle. But I had no right to falter or flee. I couldn't achieve my goal unless I drew out his full power. I used my blade like a shield to protect myself from his golden light. I expected the impact to vaporize me then and there. My limbs grew numb, my blood vessels burst, and blood gushed forth from my eyes. Like hell I could! I'd never acknowledge his world, or Mercurius for that matter, and of course my own was out of the question too. And so I had to guide him to a place where the clash of our worlds would not cause an apocalypse. To a place where Himura would not follow him in death. We're going back to the beach, aren't we? I gritted my teeth so hard they cracked. My nails splintered and my bones fractured, but I ignored the pain. It was a fight of will. I had to put both my body and soul on the line to reclaim all I had lost. Don't cry. I'm gonna take care of this. Just you watch. I'll show you what your best bud is made of. Surrounded by the all-enveloping light of golden destruction, I howled at the top of my lungs. Just let me have this one moment to shine. Let me be a man worthy of you all. I would breathe life into my resolve, making it tangible. And shoot that Gladtime of theirs out of the sky. And in the split second, the golden light flickered out. The explosion of my soul shattered the assault of the beguiling light. Ugh. Ah! Reinhard hesitated, unable to comprehend what had just passed through the back of his mind. The sensation was similar to the foreknowledge he had known so well, but not exactly the same. It was somewhat different. Something akin both to a premonition and a memory. It felt like he had come to know the conclusion of this battle. and it came in a form so sweet to Reinhard as one of the goals he thrived to achieve. It mesmerized the golden beast, filling him with awe. He would readily sacrifice all to achieve such bliss. Should he march onward, surrendering himself to the shroud of ecstasy, he would see what lay beyond the day of wrath. He understood that now. But something was ever so subtly different compared to that time. What had he gained from acknowledging his child? What feelings blossomed in his heart as the two fought? What was he trying to ask and learn from this marvelous adversary? What was the precipitous venture that he thought to attempt?
私は
How did it come to pass that he found himself on the path to hegemony? Did he choose to become the light of destruction by himself? He most certainly thought so before, but... A memory from the days when he himself was still but a flicker of light. A faint recollection that lingered within the deepest recesses of his mind. That day, fate brought him together with a trickster in a prison cell, one just as weary as he was. Well, that's a familiar image that I just saw there. What did those pair of golden eyes glimpse in that moment? I couldn't imagine what might have flashed through his mind, but something momentarily caused Reinhard's consciousness to retreat from the fight. A memory? A vision? In any case, no one could argue it was a foolish action that would normally invite certain death in battle. An unimaginable moment of complete oblivion. To me, it seemed like he'd been looking at some distant scenery from another world.
ああそうか私は罪
A whisper so faint it barely reached my ears, but... In the next moment, it turned into an explosive surge of elation. Uh-oh, did Reiny broke? The lance flashed through the air as if to drown his maddened cackle.
さあ導いてくれ我が盟友の討ちしみよ
His thrust lacked any hint of strategy or technique. As I reflexively blocked it and our swords became locked together, Reinhard's howl boomed like thunder. A feral scream of liberation, a plea of exhilaration.
その魂でその勇気で真に私を満たしてくれ
Oh?
刑しかできん刑しかなし得ぬ無ビュの流星だよ恋願おう私の愛を
Excuse me?
真実燃焼させる刹那をくれ
In other words, he seemed to have finally realized the truth. That there was no going ahead for either of us before first opening a hole. And for that, we had to...
怒りの日終末の時天地万物は怪人と化しダビデとシビラの予言のごとくに砕け散る
Oh, Golden Boy's going for it. Day of wrath and doom impending. David's word with Sibel's blending. Heaven and earth and ashes ending.
たとえどれほどの旋律が待ち受けようとも審判者が来たり厳しく正され一つ余さず燃え去り消える
Oh, what fear man's bosom rendeth, when from heaven the judge descendeth. On those sentence all dependeth. Till they chanced upon something he had yet to ravage. To lay waste upon all things in creation, from the first universe that was to the last that there will ever be.
我が総軍に響き渡れ絶えなる調べ海戦の航行よ皆すべからく玉座のもとに集うべし
Wondrous sound the trumpet flingeth, through earth's sepulchres it ringeth, all before the throne it bringeth.
かの日涙と罪の裁きをケーラ灰よりよみがえらんされば天使よその時彼らを許したまえ
From the dust of earth returning, man for judgment must prepare him. Spare, O God, and mercy spare him. He believed the stage to be set, yet a revelation claimed that not to be the case. He had to ride the waves of time to reach a proper conclusion.
慈悲深き者よ今永遠の死を与える
Lord, how dare you? Lord all-pitying, Jesus blessed, grant them thine eternal rest. Amen. To the back of the stage. To the time when he still lived as a mere flicker of light. You have my gratitude, Zarathustra. The whole cosmos pales in your beauty. This was the beginning of the end. To a starting point none of us knew, the ephemeral moment extending along eternity, to break through and finally let it come to an end.
助けてやるからな。
I hoped my sentiment reached them. I didn't pray for a miracle, instead made an oath to save them myself.
絶対俺がそこからお前たちを救ってやるから。
You can see how feeble I am on my own. I'd always tried doing everything on my own, a bad habit I was very much conscious of. So please, guide my way.
信じてくれ。力を貸してくれ。俺は一人じゃない。
You wouldn't lose here. I poured my very being into achieving victory.
そうだよ。私が全部包むから。
The all-enveloping love of the goddess. We had nothing to fear.
一緒に。
さあ。
Oh my. We would transcend and finally put an end to this sorry excuse for a play, enacting our very own acta est fabula.
無限に広がって流れ出すもの。水底の輝きこそが永久不変。
Vast as the sea, its waves reaching horizons far and wide, eternal as the radiance of its azure womb. There was only one way to eradicate the culprit behind this mess, accomplishing Irae Himuro's initial plan.
栄光たる星の速さとともに、今こそ疾走して駆け抜けよう。
And so let us ride the moment and dash forth, swift as light, quick as a star eternal. The flashes of light at my side, I could still feel them.
どうか聞き届けてほしい。世界は穏やかに安らげる日々を願っている。
Hear my plea and grant this one wish. The world longs for an era of peace, days that know not strife. I had lost so much. My heart endured so much pain. So I had to make this one count. I wouldn't accept any other outcome.
自由な民と自由な世界。どうかこの瞬間に言わせてほしい。
In the world where only peace is Lord and men join hands in liberty, allow me to sing but this. Both of us believed it to be the greatest of jewels.
時よ止まれ。君は誰よりも美しいから。
Alto time, for thou art fair beyond measure. To unleash the ephemeral moment of boundless beauty and love.
永遠の君に願う。俺を高みへと導いてくれ。
I wish upon your unending star, guide me to heights unknown. This time I would put an end to Grand Guinal once and for all.
当てると。
Oh. Emanation, baby! Oh yeah, we're doing this!
落ちて。
落ちろー。
I addressed the two Soninkins, the two overseers of the vast legion swirling inside Reinhard, to grant me guidance. I wasn't surprised to sense Himuro, but in that moment I felt the heart of Isaka as well. I could tell that he too shivered in exhilaration at this outcome. He wished to be of use to his father, to fulfill his wish. He wanted him to utter that he was his one and only son. In that case, show me the way. Lend me your aid. Your heart had learned the touch of flame, so utter the name of the one for whom your passion burns. That's right. In which case, our goals coincided. We both were cogs in the elaborate designs crafted by our father, so let us break free of this fate together. We're both alive, so let us live and fight as people of flesh and blood. You can feel Irae Himuro, can't you? You've been touched by her soul. What did it tell you? Tell me of the craving that stirs your heart, not the one that belongs to the machine, but the wish of a man. He wished to fulfill his dream. He wished for him to praise him as a worthy son. He knew not his mother, his children, friends, or even life, but he happened to learn of his father. He learned that he was his son. He wished for this gold, the one and only thing he'd been granted in his life, to burn bright and radiant, to be of his utmost pride. He had grown conscious of being extraordinary, and by gaining that, he lost all else. In the end, his vast hunger converged on but a single thing. He would do everything to have his father acknowledge him. Even knowing it would invite only depravity and aberration, he failed to cast aside that craving. That was why he reached his hand out of hell, infusing his body and soul, the entirety of existence with one wish, to grasp the true luster of gold. As an offspring of demons straight from the abyss, to fell the heavens was none other than supreme bliss in his mind. His father was born for that singular purpose. It felt only natural for him to exist for the goal as well. Just you wait, Karl Kraft. Your serpentine throne shall be ours. The exalted legion of the beast is on its way to rip your throat to shreds. And for that he would guide his father to the ephemeral moment, to have Reinhard Heydrich, a mere flicker of human life, be reborn as the true goal of destruction. Lend me your aid, Tarissia. You too, Zarathustra. Let us plunge down this hole in the cosmos together and shatter the throne of madness that lies at its bottom. That is what you wished for, is it not? I can tell. Your heart beats with mine. You two love each other, much like I love my father. I can finally comprehend it now. He learned! As long as it burns in our hearts, the impossible becomes possible. And the two colors clashed against each other with power that sent shivers across the universe, ripping a hole in its vast canvas. Beyond it lay a space devoid of color, the singularity of the world. Yet the girl of Twilight refused to grace her former abode with a glance. She had been ashamed of the time she spent as a prisoner of this colorless space, and now had her eyes set on lands of a different kind. Rhea, Isak, and Reinhard shared in that sentiment. They broke through the twilight, digging ever deeper into the breach, towards the source of the very cosmos and mankind. The throne of the serpent! Indeed, it all began here. We're coming for you, buddy! The blunder of letting himself drown in ecstasy and averting his gaze from the pleading songstress must have proved to be the herald of the jester's destruction. And yet...
なるほど。そうきたか。
The serpent retained his smile. Neither his voice nor his gaze betrayed any sign of trepidation. He had come to know a billion different hues of despair. And so, this man, this shade upon the entire cosmos, remained unwavering. In other words, their true battle still lay beyond the precipice. However, it was but a moments away, resting upon scales most uncertain. Whew. Huh? Reinhard felt bereaved of his sense of reality. He woke suddenly and with unprecedented discomfort.
ここは
Still in a daze, he turned around to be met with a familiar sight reflected in his confused eyes. That worn wooden desk, the mountain of papers resting on it, the cup of tea now seemingly cold as ice. There was nothing strange about this. He was in his very own office, the one he had been granted a following his promotion to Lieutenant General.
眠っていたのか私は
He shook his head, his features contorting in frustration, not due to the headache, but rather the irritating fact that he nodded off before finishing up his papers. He must have slept for about 10 minutes, it seemed. He reflected upon himself apathetically. Negligence and sloth are two characteristics of a man of his stature. The executioner of the state could, under no circumstances, be allowed to exhibit. His pride would never forgive it either. Responsibility was the duty of a modern man. It mattered little if the task itself was trifling and time-consuming. He was no more than an automaton at whom the world would hardly even bother to bare its fangs. Lieutenant generals or mere rank and file, all were but cogs in one giant mechanism. There was no place in it for those who failed to fulfill their duties. Reinhard skimmed through one of the papers, scribbling his signature at the bottom of the page. A highly menial form of labor he had been repeating for countless days now. Scandals, censorships, regulations, propaganda. They were all the same. Death to all the guilty as well as those in the gray area, just for good measure. He would then pick one or two from the innocent to make an example. Anyone could do it. No one in the Third Reich would hold him accountable, even if he made a mistake. The kind of menial labor even a child could carry out. Reinhard received this position only because he would rest less than the others and thus do it slightly more efficiently. The world had yet to see a blander man. It seemed almost as if he was born only to carry out the work that others instructed him to. Are we like in the past, or we just... Did we suddenly get thrown into the past? Or are we just witnessing, like, Reinhard remembering, oh yeah, all this shit started because I met that one guy.
しかしくだらん夢を見たものだ。よりにもよって地獄の主だと？
Huh? The dream he had was simply that far beyond the realm of common sense. He became a king of the dead, a Totenkampf emperor that lorded over an entire legion of abominations. He hadn't heard of anything more ridiculous. A notion fit for a child's daydream or a madman's delusions. A rotten hallucination experienced by lunatics as they drifted asleep, pumped full of sedatives. Vile and utterly in bad taste, incomprehensible. The apparent vileness of his own subconscious left Reinhard somewhat surprised. The final morsels of love and respect he still felt for himself evaporated then and there.
かつての対戦、その競争に当てられたか。まさかな。
Ridiculous. The very notion of nonsense. He'd been born immune to the thrill of emotions. Not once had he felt warmth in his breast. The only smiles he knew how to produce were ones that sent a chill down the spine. And even those he managed only once or twice in his life. As such, it was difficult to imagine that a turmoil of fickle and aimless justice could possibly affect him in any noticeable fashion. Country, peoples, ideals, race, religion, they could all fight for whatever they wanted. It mattered little. There was no shortage of pretexts in the world. Meanwhile, he would simply continue doing his job. He would carry out all orders that reached him from above without a moment's rest. For Reinhard, Heydrich's entire existence hinged on the fact that he refused to ever cut corners when it came to his profession. A boring man who lived in a monochrome and orderless world.
それが夢とはいえああまで笑うか。
Never would he wear a smile so broad. To even toy with the notion was folly, for it was an aspiration that no amount of years would fulfill. The derisive smirk of a devil or a god gazing down from beyond the far heavens. The muscles in his cheeks were rigid as steel. Merely opening his mouth meant a troublesome task. One could almost hear his jaw creak with effort. So was that dream a manifestation of his secret desires? The delusional yearnings that he himself had not been conscious of? A far-fetched fantasy that all men dream of at least once or twice in their youthful days? The self-consolation of the psyche, a demolition of reality. Could it be that becoming the lord of a legion of demons was precisely what his heart truly desired?
入れ。
He answered the knock at the door. Reinhard's pointless contemplation vanished without a trace by the time he raised his face from the papers on his desk. A man entered the room in an orderly manner. As Reinhard spotted the insignia of a colonel on his collar, all his attention instantly shifted to work.
失礼します、中将殿。折り入ってお耳に入れておきたい件が。
前置きはいい。見ての通り、私にはまだ目を通さなければならん報告が山ほど積まれてある。火球のようなら早く申す。時間が惜しい。
The colonel glanced at the papers on the desk. He knew Reinhard was not a man to mince words, and as such promptly straightened his back and began his report.
はあ、実はつい先ほど総統閣下の御身に。
Oh! A noise. He could feel a lid slide away from his memories. Ah, the man did not need to utter another breath, for Reinhard already knew.
暗殺未遂が起こったか。
An inexplicable conviction formed itself into words, escaping his lips.
はい、その通りでございます。さすが中将殿、こうまで耳が早いとは思いもよりませんでした。
Reinhard's features remained impassive in response to his subordinate's surprise. But it was he who wished to be surprised. Reinhard uttered words that he could not have known, as if having remembered them. In fact, the sensation did not feel fresh at all. An oddly uncanny feeling, as if he just stared into the eyes of his reflection in the mirror, unsure of which one of them was real. A sensation that he had been intimately familiar with, as if it had tormented his entire life. An immense feeling of discomfort stirred the resignation nestling within his heart. Reinhard found it unpleasant, yet never would he allow it to show. He instead stood up as if trying to continue the conversation, taking a few steps towards the door.
案内しろ。 残りの詳細は移動の傍らにでも知ればいい。
As if attempting to expunge that inexplicable emotion from his chest.
1939年11月20日、大ドイツ帝国総統兼首相アドルフ・ヒトラーの演説中に起こった謎の爆破テロ事件。この全欧州を揺るがせた出来事が私と彼をここに引き合わすこととなる。有史以来初の世界大戦に敗北したドイツ帝国。貧困と絶望にあえぐこの国は新たに出現したカリスマ的指導者によって不死鳥のごとく復活し、再び世界に歯を唱えんと近隣諸国への侵攻を開始した。ゆえここに前回のそれをはるか上回るであろう最大かつ最高の、そして願わくは最後であってほしいと皆が望む第2の大戦。その幕が今静かに上がろうとしているのである。
つまり総統閣下の暗殺自体は無事と申しますか、当然のごとく未遂に終わり事なきを得たわけですが、肝心の犯人を特定し検挙することが遅々として進まず、それと申しますのも
心当たりがありすぎてわからぬということだろう。仕方あるまい。閣下をしいし奉らんとする者など運河のごとくだ。文字通り売るほどいよう。
Reinhard interrupted his hesitant subordinate with a fierce glare as they reached their destination, its corridors littered with barred cells. He could tell what the colonel meant to imply, and he loathed to waste any more time listening to matters with an already settled answer. This establishment, prepared for political prisoners, was in truth little different from a slaughterhouse. The stench of rusted bars, blood, and death lingered in the stagnant air, and that was hardly a surprise. Only about 10% of the offenders brought in could leave the place alive. Such were the prospects of one apprehended by the Gestapo. Past offenses did not matter. Short of a select few exceptional circumstances, they would merely cook up a charge of their own and proceed to execute the hapless convict before they realized what was happening.
確かにおっしゃる通りなのでありますが、だからといって我々帝都の万兵たる者がいつまでも手をこまねいているなど恥にしかならず。
言い訳は良いたい。それで閣下の中心であり帝都の万兵であるケイラはこの奥にいるものを捕らえたというわけだな。
さようであります、中将殿。
This was not an unprecedented approach. Provided the true culprit remained beyond reach, a scapegoat would be needed. One whose blood would oil the grinding gears running society.
まあそれは大義だ。事の真偽はともかくとして、ケイラの努力はあながち無意にも終わる前。
Reinhard could decide both the sin and the degree of the punishment. That was right within the limits of his current authority. As such, he would simply do it again in this case. Though it might seem like the excuse of a callous bigot, being in the wrong place at the wrong time was just as grave a sin as any other in the present state of society. The weak had ways to protect themselves. The past deeds of the current culprit failed to guarantee his innocence, and that was more than enough to put him to death. Reinhard condemned the ineptitude of a man he had yet to meet.
と申されますと。
名は何と言ったかな。
That pitiable failure of a man.
カール・エルンスト・クラフト。スイスのバーゼルに生まれ、現地の大学を卒業後、帝都に流れてきたというのが本人の証言であります。これにつきましては特に問題なく、偽証ではないとの確認も取れましたが。
なんだ。
Reinhard narrowed his eyes at his subordinate's reluctance. The man's behavior did seem to be instigated by fear. Rather, his eyes betrayed a certain kind of distaste, perhaps aversion. As if his body itself resisted uttering the name of the captive.
その、何と申しますか、この男、いささか卑怯な分野に傾倒しているようでありまして。実際奮発者ではありますが、そう、 交換では彼とその技を指して。
先生術による未来予知。魔術師か。
In short, a small-time swindler, adept only at exploiting the ignorance and anxiety of the masses.
さようであります。もちろんそのようなまやかし、くだらぬざれ言に過ぎぬとわきまえておりますが、事実として相当閣下の危機をかの男が事前に言い当てていたということを鑑みれば無視もできず。
No one was naive enough to believe his prediction to be the proof of genuine sorcery at work. Supernatural powers were the territory of madmen and lunatics. A far simpler and believable explanation would always present itself.
そのカール・クラフトとやらが閣下暗殺の手引きないし絵図を描いた張本人ではないかと当たりをつけたか。
Queer behavior that beget mistrust. That man had stepped over the line of the state's protection. What a fool. He had dug a hole for himself and would now learn what it meant to play a sage the hard way.
ご苦労。K は優秀だたい。くだらぬ流言、迷信に惑わされず、現実的かつ文明的な判断能力を有している。相当閣下に代わりことほぼ、K のような人材こそが帝国の宝だな。
ありがたくあります。
よろしい。では戻りたまえ。魔術師とやら会うのは私一人で構わん。
は？ですがそれは。
He could not possibly leave a senior officer alone with a madman. Reinhard glanced at his hesitant subordinate. One only needed the slightest push to make others go silent. The many years he had spent in his line of work taught him that much.
何か問題があるかね、タイ。檻を隔てて向かい合い、いくつか取り調べをするだけのこと。しかも相手はただの詐欺師。せいぜいがテロリストというところだろう。キコや画廊、獅子の部屋に丸腰で入るというわけではない。
I just realized we're kind of replaying their first meeting that I've already witnessed. Although, a couple things are just a little bit different. The man further down was no wild beast. This was a ridiculous farce, and neither of them needed to waste more enough time than necessary on such a trivial matter.
わかったならば戻りたまえ。心配はいらぬ。
了解いたしました、中将殿。
ああ。追って指示する。それまでしばし休むがいい。
Reinhard watched with indifference as the other proceeded to leave. An exceedingly dutiful man. That notion exhausted the extent of his sentiment towards him.
ではさて。
It was time to take care of the situation in that cell. He proceeded down the coarse hallway. He was but a few steps away from the rusted iron bars separating him from the man inside. A momentarily lightheadedness assaulted him. He felt as if he had passed through this corridor before. Again, that feeling of unreality. See, I think this is another one of the things that are... It's like this weird vision is suddenly being affected by the actual Reinhard's intelligence. The current one. God damn it, you know what I mean. Paying no heed to the odd sensation akin to a discontinuous intoxication, he finally reached the cell. A shade of a silhouette sat inside in utter serenity with an almost mocking smirk on its lips. Reinhard's first impression was that of a withered tree, then a mirage. Vague, uncertain, he could not help narrowing his eyes at the odd man, who, despite most certainly being here, seemed almost like a projection from somewhere afar. His very existence was thin, as if it had withered and shriveled up. He resembled an old man who had achieved everything he could ever want in life. Reinhard could not feel even a hint of vitality or hope from him. His obsidian eyes seemed to have been frozen in a state of eternal decay, like a pair of colorful yet lifeless agates. Gazing into his eyes felt like looking at a dead fish. Rather, a sea creature that somehow survived being pulled out of the unknown depths. A fish that should have only been able to live in complete darkness, yet by some mistake learned how to breathe oxygen, and found itself awfully out of place. And so it remained unable to accomplish its only desire, die and vanish for good. It yearned to return to the water, yet all it could do was meaninglessly hop up and down on the ground. It craved succor, a being that seemed a condensation of its reliance on others, a human trait Reinhard despised. As such, he could declare one thing with absolute conviction. There was no way this man could have plotted to kill the Fuhrer. It had no feelings or aspirations to begin with. He would find no meaning in an assassination. He would not care if the whole country turned upside down on the morrow. A random piece of nonsense he uttered happened to accidentally coincide with the truth. That was all. At that point, the possibility of that man being the culprit had completely vanished from Reinhard's mind. A withered tree had no aspirations. It could only wish to eventually become fodder for the flowers. And that fact, for some inexplicable reason, filled him with disappointment. Reinhard, despite his inability to feel empathy or emotion, seemed to have been expecting something from this man without realizing it. Ridiculous. He directed his gaze back to the shadow, the vague shadow. Its beady glass eyes answered him with a hint of curiosity.
K が噂の大逆者か。とてもそうは見えぬな。私は
ラインハルト・トリスタン・オイゲン・ハイドリヒ中将、秘密国家警察ゲシュタポ長官、大ドイツ帝国にその名も高き貴公子にして、裏では首切り役人ともあだ名される国大使殿。お目にかかれて光栄だ。私はカール・エルンスト・クラフト。詐欺師であり、せいぜいがテロリスト。魔術師などといううろんな評価よりそちらの方が近いといえば近い。
なるほど。
The man interrupted him, finally showing some life in his bearing. With that, Reinhard had to up his impression of him a little. It had been a long time since someone got ahead of him. That voice certainly sounded fit for lies and deceit, and indeed gave the impression of insensitivity to pain. Regardless of how much malice had been directed at him, that smile of his would most likely never waver.
なかなか興味深い人物ではあるようだ。この国で私の前に引き出され、そのように笑える男などそういない。
He had courage at least, for all the good it did him.
それで K、単刀直入に言うが、死にたいか？
Or if he hoped to survive, that previous tirade was a severe blunder. It was hardly the attitude one ought to assume in front of the head of the Gestapo.
私の職務は国家に害なす者どもを処罰することが本分だ。詐欺師でありテロリストなどと自称する輩ならば、首切り役人というKに言わせればうろんな二つな通りの真似をせねばならん。
ほう。つまりあなたはその名を特に誇っていないと。
さて、どうだかな。しかし、職務に私情など持たず、挟まず、いやそもそも、そういった感情が従前に働かないからこそ、このような立場にあるとも言える。
His world had no colors. His breast had not known heat even once in his life. As such, there was no one more fitting to mete out impersonal punishment. He judged everyone equally, leaning towards neither of the extremes, mixing no hint of emotion into his decisions.
と、K は我が本文の遂行対象になるような存在か？
The swindler smiled, not minding Reinhard's piercing gaze in the slightest.
遺憾ながら否定はできぬ身ですが。相当閣下の恣意逆、未遂に関与したか否かと申さば、是というわけにはいきませんな。私は何もしていない。
A meaningless statement, if Reinhard had ever heard one. He had long since grown tired of those accursed pleading innocents, and he knew exactly how to deal with them.
皆最初はそう言う。
では、拷問でもしますかな。
してもいいが、無理であろうな、その労力は。
The man understood the situation as well as Reinhard. His smirk stood as proof of that. Hiding the truth had no meaning in this place.
私はな、どちらでも良いのだよ。 ことの真偽が是であれ非であれ、人は死ぬべき時に死んでいく。他者から殺意を抱かれるに足る人生を歩んだ者が日常において命を危うくするのは自明だろう。今回の騒ぎが K の手によるものかどうかなど問題ではない。殺されやすい人間が殺されかけた。ただそれだけのくだらん事実だ。
ならば私がここで何を言おうと意味などないとあなたはおっしゃる？
言ったであろう。非常に殺されやすい御人なのだ、あの方は。
It didn't end with internal and external political foes. His very existence gave birth to terrorists and malice. Entire countries wished for his demise. There'd be little meaning to a Gestapo that preoccupied itself with the truth.
故に K が無実の罪で処刑されたからといって、いわゆる真犯人というものを逃した危険、今後それにかかずらう手間などは大海の一滴だ。問題にもならん。千の敵からたった一人を消せるか消せぬか、そんなさじに肯定するほど私は暇でも酔狂でもない。疑わしきは罰せ。陳腐ですまぬが、このゲシュタポはそういう条理で成り立っている。
His life had been worth that little, yet the man still betrayed not a hint of fear. He merely observed Reinhard with thinly veiled interest. Was he evaluating him? Not quite. That gaze was hardly so simple. It appeared to pierce far deeper. It reminded Reinhard of the eyes of a scientist, the look of someone scrutinizing a phenomenon through a microscope to the slightest detail, like those white coats working day and night on chemical weapons. Did this man still think that he could get out of this alive? He even cocked his head with an ironic smile.
なるほど。あなたはまさしく噂通りのお方らしい。が、一つだけよろしいか。
許そう。何かな？
私をここから外に出して何をさせようと考えている？
Reinhard was rendered speechless for a few moments. It did not sound like a thing a man sentenced to death should ever dare to utter to his would-be executioner, but above all...
これはまた、いいなことを言う男だな。K は私の話を聞いていたか？
もちろん。無駄を厭うあなたが真偽に関係なく処刑されるのみであった詐欺師風情のもとに訪れ、浜津さえ死にたいかなどと問いを投げる。先ほどのお話を逆説的に考えれば、たとえ真犯人を釈放することになっても構わぬと、そうおっしゃっていたように聞こえるが、さて、これは私の読み違えなのですかな、首切り役人殿。
The two men regarded each other in silence. This thing indeed seemed like a magician. Or at least, that is how this shrewd and silver-tongued swindler should have been called. He allowed none of his own thoughts to show, meanwhile choosing to toy with every other word Reinhard uttered. A queer and aberrant fellow, yet far from the realm of ineptitude.
面白い。どうやら想像以上に切れるようだ。いや、今のはこちらの程度が低かったというだけの話かな。認めよう。K の言う通りだ、魔術師殿。ただあえて訂正するなら、私がどうこうしようと考えているのではない。
Reinhard held up the papers he had brought in earlier, displaying them for the prisoner to see. Penned on it had been a most ridiculous scheme, a mere prolongation of senior officer games.
取引だ。ここで死ぬか、傀儡として命をつなぐか。どちらもまあ、結果的には大して変わらん。
He would lose his free will either way. If he agreed, every single action in his life would then belong to another.
これは宣伝書、プロパガンダというやつですか？
宰相殿はこの手のことに抜け目がなくてな。吐いて捨てるほどいる敵の一人二人を特定するより、それほどまでに狙われている総統閣下が 今回生き残ったという事実のみを利用する気だ。つまり K の戦術による予言でな。
To imbue the safety of their fear with the supernatural.
書世記ノストラダムス。どうやら帝都のご婦人方は今こういったものに興味を示しているらしい。そして世論などというものは先日詰めるところ女子供だ。我々は勝つ。総統閣下は不死身である。先の大戦における敗北を払拭し戦意を鼓舞するためにノストラダムスが必要だと。まあかいつまんで言えばそんなところだ。
He opened the cell's door without waiting for an answer. Life or death, whatever his choice, he would have to leave. His posture made it quite evident that he posed no physical threat, and not even an athlete could flee this place. Reinhard himself could subdue him. He had yet to allow a single man to escape.
さてどうするね魔術師殿。鍵は開けたし枷もない。このまま檻から出るというなら死は免れるが、それは同時に意志を奪われ軍の犬になるということ。言ったように私はどちらでも構わない。ここで殺してやった方が、あるいは慈悲とも考えたゆえ公正を期して選択の場を与えたわけだが。
A statement smeared in near ironic hypocrisy. His whole existence was far removed from the very concept of fairness. Whatever the man's choice, he would be subjugated by Reinhard's authority. Death of the body or death of the mind, a choice only a devil would bestow upon a man, and to Reinhard it came as second nature. Even his ability to feel abjection had long since withered. No longer could the world light a spark in his breast. Everything he did would be part of a bleak routine, including this very moment of waiting for the prisoner to make his choice.
あなたはなぜそのような満たされぬ目をしておられるのか。
His words spoke not of his choice, instead voicing a question. The prisoner regarded Reinhard with the eyes of a curious child.
何？
It was as if the man's words had pricked something in Reinhard's heart. His nature? The furtive puddle of his frustrations? Not no, he could not. He felt nothing of the sort. He narrowed his eyes, unable to find the words to address the other man with. Karl Kraft, observing Reinhard's momentary confusion, made an exaggerated gesture of mock consternation. He cast his gaze downward, resembling an actor in the scene of a great tragedy, as if deeply tormented by something. A display that precipitated anger and irritation rather than empathy, yet the other man's obsidian eyes of the deep sea still pierced Reinhard with absolute sincerity.
ゲッベルス教の決定すら場合によっては覆す。いや、それだけではない。ゲシュタポの長であるあなたがその気になれば、総統閣下ご本人すら容易に追い込み、破滅させることができるだろう。その若さでそれだけの地位と権力、才気を有し、世界に覇を唱える帝国の暗部を掌握した国太子。男子たらば皆があなたのようになりたかろう。ドクロを背負った貴公子殿はしかしなぜかつまらぬ遊びに落胆した幼子のように鬱屈しているご様子だ。
To say the magician's words did not surprise him would have been a lie. Not because the swindler had read his heart like a book, but rather due to his ability to impeccably name and define that inexplicable sensation whose nature not even Reinhard could assess.
気になる。あなたは興味深い。
He finally stood up and left the cell, but would not cease talking. His voice rang dispassionately, yet ardently at the same time. Sudden, but absolute, like a poet reciting a verse to the heavens. The swindler sang as if slowly transforming into some unfathomable creature from another world, shedding the skin of a man like a crude cloak.
その渇き、飢餓の心、どこから来てどこへ行く。
Nonsense. Yet any sort of reputation would turn into poison at the tip of his tongue, sinking down to his soul, rather than flying out into the open.
あなたは何を求めて惑っている。
A blunt question followed by a hyena-like smirk.
聞いているのは私の方だったはずだがな。
He had no obligation to answer the madman.
それにそもそも K の命は。
Oh! The odd sensation returned the moment his thoughts drifted to his duties, accompanied by an onset of dizziness. Oh! Wait. Noise. 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 That accursed noise devouring his consciousness would refuse to subside.
待て。なんだこれは。
Wait. When the world is going on. His worn-out memories flashed through his mind, detailing the constant continuation of the conversation, the one he had yet to have. Tiresome communion, uninspired conversation, a feeling of repulsion bordering on physical pain. Everything flashed through his mind. He remembered. All manner of information flashed through his mind in limitless droves without ever ceasing. He begged for it to stop. And now come to exceed all eccentricities and delusions. Only the wickedly smiling silhouette of the swindler remained etched into his vision. Reinhard could tell he was laughing.
おやおや、いかがいたしましたかな、中将殿。お顔の色が優れぬようですが、寝所で横にでもなられた方が良いのでは。
My, what appears to be the problem, most esteemed Lieutenant General? Your complexion has adopted a hue I can only describe as worryingly pale. Perhaps you ought to lie down and rest for a spell?
黄金比とも言うべき冷房が歪んでしまっているではないですか。美の損失だ。世の婦女たちが嘆きましょう。
Your handsome features, compared by many to the brilliance of gold, appear to have wrinkled up a touch. Ah, the world is now a darker place for that staggering loss of beauty. Many a lady would doubtless consider this a slight, most disconcerting and worthy of grief.
いらぬ世話だ。口をつぐむがいい。
Keep such concerns to yourself, and silence that tongue of yours.
ならばぜひ先の問いに答えてはもらえまいか。
Then may I perhaps receive an answer to my prior question?
あなたの選択、あなたの価値観、それがどのような形なのか、私は興味が尽きぬのですよ。
Your choices and your beliefs. I cannot contain my curiosity as to how they shape themselves within you.
何よりも知りたい、聞きたい、胸に留めておきたいのだ。あなたと私の懐かしい語らいなのだから。
I wish to know them more than anything. Down to the slightest detail, I want to forever savor your answers in my heart. For this is a most nostalgic exchange between the two of us.
何？
What? The madman seemed to affirm the very aberration currently consuming Reinhard's mind. A past he couldn't have possibly known emerged once again in his consciousness, and with renewed vigor, Reinhard found himself utterly without an explanation. No soul could have possessed knowledge of such things.
K は
And even the words that abruptly escaped his lips were in complete concord with the bizarre sensation.
古代妄想郷だ。さぞかし世の中が楽しかろうよ。
Yes, that had been exactly what he said. Pictures and scenes flashed through his mind like a fast-forwarding movie. The unpleasant, sickening feeling refused to subside. A scene he knew nothing about, the aberration of remembering the present as it unfolded before his eyes. If there was but one word to describe that sensation, it would be... foreknowledge. The volumes of his knowledge increased exponentially. Yet the actual amount never truly changed, for indeed he was merely remembering, not learning new things. The traces of emotions and sensations that still lingered in his soul had now been completely expulsed. A sensation that grew only worse in the presence of the accursed trickster.
ほう、では覚えていないと。私たちの語らいを、出会いを。私はあなたと出会い、思い出したのですが、そちらには覚えがないと。
しかりだ。くだらん。
Reinhard flatly denied the other's nonsensical remark. He had no obligation to go along with mad delusions. An aberrant sensation might have inexplicably assaulted him there for a moment, but that was certainly not enough to affirm the madness on the man's lips.
古代妄想郷と言っただろう。K の感想はそれのみだ。語るべき自慢や自伝など、それこそこちらにはかけらもない。期待だと。 的外れだ道化師。私はな、そう大した男ではない。
The furtive pool of resignation remained ever stagnant on his mind. Reinhard harbored no ardent desires, nor any grand ideals to boast of. It was only the surrounding rabble that, in their envy, projected onto him some inexplicable dignity or glory. Medals that hardly served a purpose other than decorating the room. Endless praise that amounted to little more than hollow lip service. No applause or cheers had ever moved his heart, not in his entire life. He did not grow tired. He was unfeeling to begin with. His senses were merely dull, both to happiness and pain. If anything, to label such things as wonderful and to be envied seemed like a madness in itself.
昔から加減というものができんのだ。故に、なんであれ真摯に取り組み、結果としていつの間にか今の地位についていただけ。まるで止まることのない車と同じだ。性能がどうであれ、休まず走り続けていれば、世界の一周や二周は誰でも回れる。K が私に何を感じているかは預かり知らぬが、つまるところ、ラインハルト・ハイドリヒなどそんなものだ。娯楽が欲しければ、他に面白いものは5万と言う。そちらに行け。
And he could have all the fun in the world with them. A mind ruled by madness likely translated all sensations to amusement. Any attempts at insulting or rejecting him would fall on deaf ears, no doubt.
では、私の買いかぶりだと？
他に何がある？好みは不老でなければ不死でもない。処女の腹へ宿っていたわけでも、天から降りた見つかりでもない。どこまで行こうと、ただ一回の人間に過ぎ。
He was not born with the burden of duty. No revelations graced his mind. He survived by doing what he was told, much like everyone else. Disregarding the scale and the amount, Reinhard had only ever done a single, utterly basic job. There was but not a single shred of uniqueness about him.
与えられた地位をなくせば、それこそ市政の一角と変わらんだろう。その程度なのだ。いや、そうでなくてはならない。殴れば倒れ、撃たれれば死ぬ。人はそうであるべきだ。死からは逃れられん。その時までただ生きて、ただ朽ち果てればいい。私はそれで結構だ。すべてのたれ死ぬ。ならば私もかくのたれ死ねばいい。
ああ、いけませんな。あなたほどの人間がそのようなことを口にしては、己が見えていないとはこのことか。まず部屋に姿見を置くべきだろう。ご自愛していただきたい。このままではあまりにも部下の敬服に悪い。
不服そうだな、詐欺師。言ったではないか。K はよそに行くべきだ。
He knew not how to utter words of lament. He had no desire to humor the magician any further, and no longer tried to hide his contempt. His tone had grown coarse, his words losing their former eloquence.
今一度私の問いに答えてほしい。気づいてほしい。あなたは愛ているのだ。一度でも本気を出したことが終わりか？走るつもりで歩いてはいなかったか？
走っていようが歩いていようが何も変わらん。いずれは止まる。やがては死ぬ。
He was moving forward in either case. Speed mattered little.
勘違いしている。あなたの上限はそこではない。遥か上空に存在する。だから難問に出会えない。全力を出せたことがない。心躍る敵手、超えるべき難問。それを凌駕した際に得られる達成感。本当に何一ついらないとでも？
言ったはずだ。くだらんとな。それが何だという。空いていればいい。 飢えていればよかろう。生きる場所の何を飲み、何を食らおうと飢餓が言えぬのなら、その時点で自戒するしかない。そんな生物はな、生まれてきたことが過ちなのだ。
A beast would die the moment its hunger was satisfied, and this man was urging him to become such a thing? The very notion felt ridiculous beyond description.
いずれ死ぬのだ。それで結構。わずか数十年程度のせい、満たされぬからなんだという。不平不満など、今の際につぶやくだけで十分すぎる。わざわざ迎えに行くなどと、愚虚以外の何者でもない。
If dying was the fate of all men, then all he could do was live an earnest life. Why would he wish to escape death if he never cared that much about living?
なるほど。ならばあなたの座右の銘は。
そう。メメントモリだ。人はいつか死ぬ。死は重い。故に、それに対しては厳粛であるべきだ。
He would not try to fool himself into thinking there was equality in mankind. But in death alone, all had the right to line up with each other. All had to embrace it. No one was exempt. That grim final stop loomed visible in distance for all men to see. How could one even dare reject it?
死ぬべき時に死ねぬものが残される。誰かが言っていた言葉だが、私はこの言葉に共感する。
Oh! The words of someone he couldn't quite remember. The vague memory of a man rigid as iron flashed into Reinhard's mind, yet both his name and appearance seemed to have eluded him. But he could remember his conviction, the vigor of his craving. And he had to agree. Humans could exist without life, but what of those without death? Where would they find themselves?
訪れた死を受け入れられぬ時、その人間は死体のまま動く羽目になるだろう。怪物になってまで活動する理由もない。動かぬ心臓でなぜわざわざ呼吸を続けなければならん。
Like this is already different in a way.
私は一度のせいで結構だ。K の古代妄想に生息する陳腐な魔獣などではない。いささかの興味を持ちよ。
Reinhard Heydrich would have turned into the monster from the magician's dreams had he only overturned this logic. The aberration transcending life itself, the devil soaring beyond the precipice of the unknown, the very thought of it made him dizzy with repulsion.
なるほど。つまりあなたは人間のままでよろしいと。満たされぬまま老い、死の到来をただ受け入れると。
そうだ。
Is the existence of the current Reinhard's memories affecting this one? I'm starting to think that might be the case. He could happily live and die as a man, as one soldier out of many who merely carried out his sworn duty.
それは本当に心の底からの願いですかな。虚飾虚構のすべてを剥ぎ取ったあなたにとっての本音だと。
くどいと言っている。
He rejected the life of an aberration. And why wouldn't he? His whole being recoiled at the very notion of it.
これが私だ。それ以外にはなれない。首切り役人、ゲシュタポ長官。その言葉以外に自分を形容する言葉など不要である。あざ名が欲しいなら勝手に何とでも呼ぶがいい。ただし、押し付けがましく怪物の怪我をよこされて、疑いなく被るほど奇特な神経はしていない。
The words of the sneering swindler were but dribble in his ears. He emanated no trace of the supernatural. The inexplicable discomfort that took hold of him merely got to his head. His philosophy on life and death would never change. Live and die. If one wanted to spend that time in fulfillment and worldly pleasures, they should have joined a hedonist sect.
では。
In that moment, the silhouette of the jester contorted and creaked. His back swelled like a balloon. A change that should have been impossible for a child of man. The giant sack suddenly burst, almost like it had a flaming missile inside. His head had changed into Caduceus, the twin-headed serpent. An obsidian blade sprouted from him, almost like a child being born. It pierced through the air, advancing to Reinhard's chest, and... Oh. A mortal blow, as abrupt as it was unimaginable.
人間として死ね。
Oh my. His voice had changed, together with the head. The sound of rending flesh, the violent pain, the gushing of blood. He could feel the chill of steel pierce his heart. Someone he had been vaguely familiar with burst out from the shadow of the swindler, reaping his life.
バカな。
What had just occurred? His thoughts could not keep up. An anomaly that defied all common sense had skewered him like a piece of meat. Foreknowledge began seeping back into the crevices of his mind. Sometime, somewhere, an adversary he had once met wielded a guillotine sprouted from his arm, a blade that now pierced his chest. He could feel blood filling his mouth, his very life pouring forth from his body. He could not simply comprehend this. He could simply not. What of the swindler? Who was this appearing on his place? Was that blade truly a part of his body? There were limits to how inscrutable a phenomena could be. Could that thing truly have been demon born from the magician's delusions? Blood filled his trachea, preventing him from breathing. He could feel his consciousness growing dim. He had lost so much blood that he could no longer move his limbs. But that was not it. Some form of invisible power held him completely immobile. He could hear the approaching footsteps of death.
そうだ。お前はここで死ぬべきだった。
The Grim Reaper made his declaration with scythe in hand. He opened a hole in Reinhard's existence with inexplicable anger and contempt, yet not without a hue of sadness to change his bearing.
正直俺は安心したよ。お前の口からあんな人間らしい言葉が吐かれるだなんて思ってもいなかった。そうだ。誰も生まれた時から怪物なんかじゃない。たとえそうだとしても、人の道理で育てば、人のまま生きていけたんだ。
Nigh palpable relief. Youthful sorrow in response to the theory of life Reinhard had uttered. He could not understand. Why was he so moved by his simple words? He merely told the magician that those born as men should die as such. It was but common sense.
そこに疑問を感じていないことがだ。
Reinhard had no idea what was so significant about that. But he could no longer voice his questions in his numb throat. His ability to form thoughts had been deteriorating by the second. The blood that gushed forth from his chest like a torrent turned into mere trickle.
その考えは正しいさ。認めてやる。お前に何か吹き込んだ奴の方が最初からどうかしてたんだ。
Yep.
ああ、その通りだよ。死は重い。だからこそ。
あなたはただの詐欺師になんて会うべきじゃなかった。
A voice of a girl reverberated in his head. He could not see her. It was most definitely not the young man before him, but he could not think of the words as a mere illusion. After all,
持ち得た権力を使って他の誰かに任せればよかった。妄言のささやきになんて耳を貸すべきじゃなかった。
喜べよ。感謝しろ。お前は今、人間として死ねるんだ。ラインハルト。
he could hear a voice urging him to return to living as a trifling flicker of light.
黄金の獣になんてなるべきじゃなかった。
The beast? What was this girl of an apparition talking about? Was she too implying that he was some sort of monster from the pages of a fairy tale?
あなただけじゃない。あなたに関わった人たちまで死ねなくなる。死体になっても崩れなくて歩き続けることになるから。
He and those that followed him would turn into monsters? Insatiable demons to wage war for an eternity? That almost sounded like an awfully convoluted metaphor for cancer. His breathing stopped, the blade scraping at his spinal cord chafed flesh from his bone like a rasp. Death was near. Indeed, he had it right earlier. We would fall when struck, and die when shot. A stab wound like this was no different in that regard. Having been born as a man, he would die as one. There was nothing more to it than that. A simple anti-climax of a finale. Underwhelming. Abrupt. Had he possessed the strength, he would have likely burst out laughing. He would die from the mere prick of a needle without even knowing the reasons for his demise. He was but one of the hapless many. He possessed no... Is that really what you think? Another voice came from the nothingness. The shade-like man re-emerged within his mind.
獣の姿が本性でもそれに逆らい生きてきた。子供のように足りないからと無差別に求めたりしない。あなたは誰より自制に長けた人だったの。ハイドリヒ教。
Self-restraint? Aye. He was confident in that one skill at least. As no emotions ever plagued his heart, he ended up more patient than his peers.
あなたの全力についていける人なんてそれこそ一人だけだった。その手を取るのではなく心を動かすことがあるのならそれを与えた相手にこそぶつけるべきだったから。
だからここで己の矜持に殉死しろ。このまま人として死んでいけ。
Damn. The demon twisted its blade in Reinhard's chest. Unbearable pain assaulted him, followed by the remainder of his blood gushing forth from his mouth. The scythe of the Grim Reaper gave off an icy gleam as if portending death.
目を開け。そしてよく見ろ。刻みつけるんだ。平等を与えてやる。お前が語った言葉を今からこの手で証明してやる。
The demon urged him to burn the scene into his memory.
俺がお前の死だ。
And with that, the blade of the guillotine separated Reinhard's torso from his lower body. Jesus! Fresh blood rained down upon the room. The end came silently and without warning. Yielding to the force of gravity, the separated halves of his body fell towards the ground. Was this truly the end? How utterly plain. The first thought crossed Reinhard's mind was the reaffirmation of himself as a boring, insignificant man. He observed even his own death with calm indifference. So much for magicians. This was the true face of Reinhard Heydrich. Just another corpse in the gutter. He could not imagine a more fitting end. But in that moment...
おやおや、これはいなことをおっしゃる、獣殿。
My, you utter nonsense, my beastly companion. His heart jolted alive, his consciousness returning before it could plunge into the depths of the abyss.
針のごとき人差しであなたが死ぬことなどありますまい。
A prick from a needle is hardly enough to fail you.
A near mocking remark, a moment of uncertainty had saved his life. Time had stopped. Literally, his body remained suspended mid-air. He could even make out the droplets of blood frozen in the air. Only his consciousness seemed to have remained active, experiencing a surge of astonishment at this inconceivable sight. The whole world, save for his own mind, had come to a complete halt. Only the words of the shadow tickled his ears from within.
針だと。
A needle.
そう、あなたにとっては針の人差し。私の目はごまかせない。思ったはずではないですか。こんなもので死ぬのかと。
Correct. To you, all it amounted to was the prick of a needle. You cannot deceive me. In that moment, you most certainly thought that you could not possibly die from such a trifling wound.
Indeed, for a brief heartbeat, his consciousness had certainly formed such a thought. A blade pierced his chest, skewered his heart, a wound that should have been lethal to any man. Yet for a moment he felt it utterly trivial. That impression, that criteria did not belong to a common man.
バカな。では私は。
Impossible. Then, am I?
刺されても死なぬ生き物なのでしょう。私の目にはあなたは一度も二足の姿に映っていない。
Indeed, You are not a being to perish, Mimir Cut. In my eyes, you have never been a simple mortal man.
The shadowy silhouette reappeared in his vision. The magician gave him a friendly smile. Reinhard felt it unpleasant, yet oddly familiar at the same time.
重ねて言いましょう。あなたは人の条理に収まれない。人の作った策に従うなど愚の骨頂。むしろそれを作る側なのだ。
Allow me to reiterate, you are far too great to fit within reason. For you obey human principles would be the height of folly. If anything, you are the one who bends such principles to his will.
死はそこだ。墜落は刹那。これが歌方の原始ならば、言い募る時間はなきに等しい。ならばこそ、現状を鑑みた上で、再度自己を鑑識してみてはいかがか。
Death lies before you. It only takes a moment to fall. If this is a fleeting vision you see before death, then time is of the essence. Why not take another look at the situation and reconsider?
あなたの望みは、胸に迫る渇望は、何に変えても得難い瞬間は終わりか？
What is your wish? What is the craving that burns in your heart? What moment would you trade for no other?
そこにたどり着くにはどうするべきか。知っているはずだ。さあ、思い出しましょう。
And what should you do to attain it? Your memories hold the answer. Go on, remember.
Foreknowledge assailed Reinhard's consciousness like a storm.
私は
Remember, the time you spent as something other than a man. The brain you have now is far too unfit for a beast of fantasy. You must re-establish connection with the outside. Do not merely recall experiences. Remember the land you rode off to claim with your legion and projected upon the world. The Longinus Dryzen Orden, the Obsidian Round Table, the Beguiling Light, Atziluth, Iwikite, Longinus, a world for him to dwell in, the Ardor of Destruction, the Baleful Gold, the Day of Wrath he sought with all his being. Dies Irae. He did not know this. He could not know this, yet he remembered. The scenery he had yet to traverse. All he had to claim, all he had to bestow, the covenant of his new being. What craving scorched his heart when he transcended time.
終わりだ、ラインハルト。
This is the end, Reinhard. The young man condemned him to death as if repulsed by his very existence. They were born in differing worlds, and as such the youth urged him to embrace death while he still drew breath as a mortal man.
さようなら、ハイドリヒ教。
Goodbye, Lord Heydrich.
The girl silently lamented his mistake. She too wished for him to remain a man, yet rather than death, she would have wanted him to walk a different path and seek those that could have brought happiness to his life.
さあ、まぶたを開こう、破壊の君よ。
It is time to open your eyes, O monarch of destruction.
Meanwhile, the magician sung each word.
Remember, and destroy the young impostor. Let us do it all again.
The shadow stirred Reinhard's confused memories with utmost confidence, burning away all traces of hesitation in him.
私は
The words, questions, and desires of the three converged in a whirlpool of curses on the verge of erupting within Reinhard. What did he once believe in and wish for? What craving burned in his chest, and where did it lead him?
そうだ。私は
Did he wish to die as a man? No, that was merely a natural outcome he had once accepted. He never wished for his own demise. Did he command a legion of demons for a wish of that caliber? Shit!
いいな。
Shit! A clear and robust voice boomed across the frozen dreamscape. A bell to wake the long dreamer, its very echo capable of shaking the world to its foundations. A fissure opened in the sky. The pain faded like a receding wave.
いいな。断じていいなだ。死を座して待つのではない。それでは生きながらの死者だ。処刑台に登る囚人と何が違う。
He gazed down upon his wound. It was hardly worthy of note, a mere prick from a needle, His skewered heart regained its prior vigor and began to beat once more.
私はまだ何もしていない。ならばそれこそ、己の教師に反するではないか。
His heart raged. The golden beast slowly rose from slumber.
涙と遠ざけた。チリアクタだと烙印を押して通り過ぎた。本当は全てを愛してやりたかったのに、愛するには万物全て脆すぎたから。ああ、なぜだ。なぜ耐えられぬ。抱擁どころか、いやは腹を撫でただけでなぜ砕ける。なんたる無情だ。神羅万象、この世は総じて繊細に過ぎる。ならば我が愛は破壊の棒状。めでるためにまずは壊そう。神戸を垂れる弱者も、かしづいてひざまずく敗者も、反逆を目論む不忠も、すべてが愛しい。故に壊す。それこそが唯一の道理。私は死を眺め感じながら生きている。だがそれは死をこまねくことではなかった。めでるべきものをめでず、いたわりすぎて放置するなど無粋の極み。だからこそのめでるともりだ。
Those his love extended to, as well as he himself. Nothing could ever match the significance of death, and so he wished all to welcome his love with equal solemnity. The boundless void in his heart. To soothe its listlessness, he embarked upon a quest to devour the world, hoping to chance upon that which he had yet to ravage. But it still proved insufficient in satiating his beastly hunger. An adversary that would make his heart dance, a challenge that required the whole of his strength to be overcome, one that he would keep devouring for one that would help make him prove his own existence and beyond.
すべてを愛そう。例外はない。その平等を与えぬことこそ、ないがしろにしている証明そのものではないか。
The one he had yet to annihilate, he who had been the most worthy of his love, separating him by a wall of friendship was an insult to his credence.
そうだ、私は。
His hair grew in length, his clothes changed. He could feel the holy lance in his hands as Weltal swirled within his heart like a whirlpool. Love that filled his entire being. He opened his eyes, sparkled in acute golden luster.
私は全てを愛している。
The power he unleashed in that moment took the form of a comet, vaporizing the dark cell in an instant. The scenery of the past shattered into 1,000 of pieces. A mighty explosion swept the whole world in the alien bodies it contained aside like puny leaves in a storm. Damn it! Zarathustra and Sonenkin vanished into the recesses of the cosmos. Yet he had nothing but gratitude for them in his heart. This would not have been possible without them. Phantasms, flickers of light, the meaning of his very existence. They presented him with it all. They had his deepest gratitude. Behold, dear spectators, the last and final Deus Irae. The ultimate struggle between destruction and transcendence. This is what the two have been aiming for from the start, but Reinhard would not admit to being had.
さあ、
For he wished for this moment more than anyone.
始めようか。か。
He faced the sole exception to the rule, and his holy lance shimmering in elation launched a blinding thrust. The golden light of destruction ravaged the cosmos, turning all matter to ash in its path. But it aimed at but one.
ああ、ついに私のアポトーシスが発現したか。
Huh? With an expression that seemed like a tearful smile. People, we are still going! Whoa! Whoa, 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 whoa! Am I just seeing every... Oh my... Oh my god! The shadow of Mercury finally unveiled its true form. I am sorry! Holy shit! That cry of neither sorrow nor delight continued but for a moment. Reinhard's golden light was repelled by an even more luminescent serpent. His strike, possessing power enough to obliterate a city with ease, vanished into nothingness before the caduceus coiling around the cosmos. In that vacuum of absolute silence, all that remained was the golden devil with an unmasked jester. The two greatest entities in the universe faced each other on a monochrome canvas. The blank page of the new world, the spark in their eyes indicated both boundless love and unavoidable separation. Makina once told Ren about the sole path to end this phenomenon, and now that very possibility had reached fruition. The two invincible bastions of the Obsidian Table would diverge.
さすがだと思うよ。己が道理で半島を塗り上げ、未だその座にあり続けているだけのことはある。
I'm actually going to witness Mercurius fight now. Reinhard applauded Mercurius for withstanding the full brunt of his power. Incredible and inevitable. He commended his friend from the bottom of his heart.
それとも、この程度できねば荒人神の名がなくか？難儀なものだな。領袖に見えたのはそういうわけか。あまりに巨大であるゆえに、この世界では身動きできん。ああ、実に理解できるぞ、その葛藤。ここは狭い。肥料も水も我らにとっては枯れ井戸だ。生まれた時から棺の中に閉じ込められている。今だから告白するがな。初見の刑は枯れ木に見えたよ。潤っていない。残骸であった私すらそう感じたほどだ。
The words of the devilish commander sheltered a hue of self-reproach as he reminisced about the past.
我ながら見る目のないことだ。壊してみなければ、その形を自覚できんと見える。眺めて見えるのは外角だけか。穴がなければ覗き込む。許せよ。私はくだらん人間なのだ。その辞表においては、今も昔も変わってはいない。故に。
Light accumulated at the tip of the lance as it danced in the air. The shimmer of the holy lance grew more potent, attaining a golden glow.
刑に我が愛を示したい。
Okay. His tremendous power and immense bloodlust had not been directed at his sworn friend. His declaration to wage lethal battle rang more like an invitation to a pleasant stroll.
愚かしいことだ。部下は皆語り合ったというのに、友だけは最もそこから遠ざかっていたなどと。出会った時からその望みを無視していた。ならば今こそ叶えよう。
He would bestow upon him the unknown, the finality of absolute death. He was born for that purpose alone. Reinhard Heydrich was about to exercise the very meaning of his existence.
さすがは私の坂島。やはりそうきたか。
しかり、ここまで来ればダバでも気づく。彼らの奮闘は見事なものだった。胸を打ったとも。これで分からねば、それこそデクでしかなかろうよ。
Otherwise, we would be insulting the very concept of friendship. He could barely keep his eyes open at the shimmer of those two shooting stars.
あれこそ、我らが本来結ぶべきもの。たどり着くべき縮図ではないかな。
なるほど。
His meaningful smile had not changed even in the presence of an enemy. Their love for each other changed a little, yet their cravings could now only be fulfilled through the other's demise.
ああ、しかしまだ敵と障害は残っていましょう。脱皮を遂げ完成した我が生異物。 あれでは物足りぬと？
それも愚問だ。私は約束を果たしているに過ぎ。
No matter what he did, that sensation of tedium, extending to infinity, would never fade. An oversaturation of countless victories continuing for an eternity. So wait a minute, are we just gonna have like fucking Reinhard versus Mercurius, or is it gonna be like Reinhard versus Mercurius versus Ren versus Reinhard? Who promised to alleviate that pain? Reinhard had not forgotten a single word from their conversation.
K が言ったことであろう。取り立てて騒ぐほどのものではない。論ずるに足らん。全力を行使しても容易ならざる事態の発言。かつ、それを乗り越えた先が未知であること。この二つを K は私に与えるといい。そして私はその話に乗ったのではなかったか。
All of them participated in the scheme. Everyone had motivations of their own. The aspirations of some conflicted, while many did not even comprehend the true meaning of the Day of Wrath. Yet all of them nodded their heads to the oath. All embellishments would melt before the boon of gold. Their deepest, unabashed nature sealed a pact with the devil. They had no right to complain. They all joined the legion of demons of their own volition, melting equally into its hell to become one, seeking but one reward. Victory.
全力を出すに足る存在が目の前にいる。そして私は本来それと相対するために生まれたらしい。ならば渇きを捨て勝利を得るにはこうするよりないと察する。もとよりこの身は無限の奈落を司るもの。挑むのならば上だろう。全身全霊をかける英雄譚において役者は常に駆け上がっている。それに
The beast's golden eyes gleamed with indomitable pressure, as his eruptive bloodlust filled the air. His gaze was replete with boundless elation.
挑むことなど初めてなのだよ、カール。
And that filled the golden beast with uncontained joy.
迎え撃つのではない。戯れに屈服させるのでもない。高みを眺めることなど、それこそ今しかないのだ。驚いてくれ。信じられるか？私は心を躍らせている無垢な子供のようにな。道はその先にある。いや、そうしなければ手に入らぬ。代替品を倒して何になる？どれほど容易でなかろうと、あれではこの基地感を消せはしない。ここは K の生み出した世界だ。ならばどうするかなど決まっている話だろう。知らぬままならともかく、知ってしまえばこうなる、こうする。胸の奥では常にこうなるのを望んでいた。
Okay.
そこに嘘はつけない。私もどこかでこの時をずっと待っていたはずだから。
The highest point of friendship. They supplemented what the other lacked and destroyed each other. The only other existence in the entire universe that could meet him on equal ground. Nothing could be more wonderful. The commander of the demons faced the serpent of the throne with joy and bloodlust stirring his chest. The heart of Veltal began its activity in silence and with solemnity, yet not without unmistakable ferocity. Ah, that was it. He would grant his father true joy. Isak, the cog of the castle, turned within the intricate mechanism in unprecedented synchrony with his master. The golden beast kept evolving by the second. There was nothing special to the king. You too should fall with all the rest. Receive the grace of the beast. Your fate is to be another corpse in the imperial luster of his love. The time has come for you to be destroyed. Absolute devotion, jubilation, wrath, lamentation. The rejection of one's limits resulted in instantaneous transcendence. In that moment, Isak no longer craved his father's love. He had been content with fulfilling the dream of gold. Ah, Teresia.
Ah, Zarathustra. You have my gratitude. I could finally become myself. I would reject his existence even at the cost of becoming a mere instrument. If Father was born for this purpose alone, then so was I. The eruption of uncontained love triggered the Devil's Castle to initiate the ultimate stage of his existence. Reinhard would surpass his architect. His power would match the gods. He would soar beyond the precipice. His hands would extend from hell to tear down heaven. The Golden Beast would paint the apotheosis of the world his own color. He would be reborn as a monster of legend capable of tearing out even a god's throat.
さあ始めようか友よ。ヴァルハラは目の前だ。その基地感は枯渇している。名役だ。今こそ幕を引くとしよう。
The vacuum trembled around Longinus. The lance of God-slaying ached to do battle. The curtains opened for the final act of eternal recurrence. The threads of fate had all led to this moment. The two apotheotic monsters, at long last, could unleash the full burnt of their power in this twilight of the gods. The otherworldly voice rang with quiet, unmistakable, boundless passion. Mr. Snake, I can't understand what you're saying. There was not a single soul left in the universe that could comprehend those words. The serpent on the throne was merely the final residue of the legend whose very concept had long been lost to the passage of time. As such, even he could no longer remember his own craving. He could imagine and conjecture what it could have been, but never knew for sure what it was that led him to claim the throne of the universe. He could see and understand nothing. The very color of that swirling passion had been alien to him. Yet he could feel elation take over his entire being. And the reason for that was obvious. It called for no confirmation. The serpent had been driven mad by eternity. All it could find beyond the infinite concepts constituting the knowledge and wisdom of the universe was a dead end of utter and complete folly. All it could project was its shadow, and covering the entire cosmos with it was a sole obsession that still fueled its being. It had lost its senses in reason's eons past, and now only a single thought remained. No, not yet. I will not give up. I do not want to die like this. And that served as the beginning of it all. A dream he could not discard regardless of how many times he tinkered with and rewrote the script, repeating the same story over and over again. Reinhard pledged to destroy it. He, as a being fated to devour all and everything in the cosmos, was only capable of ordering his legion to march onwards. There would be no hesitation, for this was what he had been born for. Quite a purpose to be born for, my dude. To friggin' kill this godly... I'm starting to think that Mercurius is just is basically just God, and he's rewriting the world's script however that way. He's the reason why we have all the routes. He just wrote the script in that way. As such, the serpent's mind had been overtaken by a single thought in the presence of the beast's fully grown luster. The apotheosis he himself gave birth to. He loved and was infatuated by it. He reared and guided it on its path. An entity whose very existence was pivotal to this world, and as such made him the focus of the serpent's hatred. Such arrogance. Such audacity. Such infantile egotism. But all those worthy of the throne were such. They believed in themselves without a shred of doubt, regardless of how their craving affected mankind, as a blessing or a curse, for one had to possess supreme convictions to initiate the creation of the world. We'll see about that. The serpent's maddened consciousness made its solemn declaration. Ah!
The illusions that projected snippets of his boundless existence upon the mortal realm. Faust, Paracelsus, Saint Germain, Cagliostro, and Karl Kraft all vanished, yielding the stage to the All-Father of the cosmos. And he declared his will to the greatest of all of his creations, to the golden beguiling light of destruction.
お前はもういらんぞ、ハイドリヒ。得意点を生じさせ、私を滅ぼす一億を担った。ああ、褒めたたえよう、愛し子よ。だが、そこまでだ。これより先は女神の一人舞台でなくてはならぬ。用済みの役者には退場願おう。それが私の座の意志と知れ。
Killing intent, bloodlust. The core of the universe sentenced Reinhard to death with force that sent tremors across the cosmos. Any other man would have crumbled to dust right there and then, their very soul vaporized without mercy. But he too was now a universe of his own. All the destructive love that his friend and father, his kindred and prowess, unleashed upon his being did was fill him with unfettered joy.
ようやく見せたな、真の顔を。ああ、初めて K が同じところに降りてきたと感じるよ。
He had been at his side as a shadow, always one step behind, an existence impossible to make out, perpetually hidden behind the blinding gold's luster. But who in truth was the one being left a step behind? This shadow was most certainly not birthed by the light of destruction. The true light source that cast it upon the realm existed far above. It inhabited the deepest recesses of the sky, an obsidian sun to blind all those that dared gaze upon it. And now, for the first time in his life, Reinhard felt like the two of them stood on equal footing. All that remained was to topple him. A mountain worthy to be scaled, a foe of unprecedented power. This was the hour he had craved, the ephemeral moment that would finally satiate his boundless hunger. Oh my god. Pull forth from the chaos. The magnificent roar of the Emperor of Demons reverberated across the cosmos like the joyous cry of a newborn babe. Indeed, he had come upon the wall that all men had to inevitably face. For sons would always aspire to surpass their fathers. Behold, my friend, behold, my father! Ah, Isak, I finally now understand how you felt. This is the boundless flame in my heart. The desire to be acknowledged. Ah, how sweet, how blindingly magnificent it feels. And so I shall unleash it upon the world. Let us celebrate the coming of that long-awaited day. All would end now. His age-long opera, in the making for eons, could not have possessed a more fitting name. Day of Wrath! Grant me the unknown! The two apotheoses clashed. Common sense held no jurisdiction over a battle for the throne. Even the unwritten rule that the challenger should launch the first attack had been rejected from the start.
クリストフはお手柄だったというわけだな。
The caduceus rumbled. He commanded the laws of the universe to do his bidding, emanating light in waves that exceeded human comprehension. All phenomena and all foreknowledge, all cravings and souls that exist within the world, save for the goddess, the substitute, and the gold in his legion, were inside his dominion. No one knew exactly how many stars flickered and lived within the world since the advent of foreknowledge's tyranny. Now all of them were in the palm of his hand. A myriad of souls formed the shape of a comet, assailing the beast's legion. And even that was hardly more significant than a strand of hair for the serpent.
彼の信玄がイザークを狂わせた。何も持たぬゆえに無病であった歯車が父を知り、子という立場を得て女王を知る。実に効果的だよ。奪うにはまず与えねばならん。お前に認められたかったのだろう。かわいいな、意味子よ。私が作ってやっただけはある。
Nonsense. The heart of the Emperor of Demons rebuked the other's venomous ridicule with an indignant roar. I had but one father. You were merely a serpent that tricked Mother into the act. This outcome is precisely what we have desired.
と言っているが、カール。
No one could repel the comets from the sky. Each of them possessed strength comparable to the entirety of Reinhard's legion. Nonetheless,
あまり舐めてくれるなよ。他ならぬKが言ったことであろう。数が質を圧するなどと説いた覚えは毛頭ない。愛が足りん。
About a third of the 100 comets shattered to one swing from the lance. The remainder crashed into Reinhard's body, failing to inflict a mortal wound.
K にとっては万象ことごとくが散りあくたであろうが、雑根で我らを取れると思うなよ。結束が違う。愛が違う。ああ、聞くがいい。皆が K を憎悪している。その歌を。
Reinhard Heydrich was called the Lord of the Dead for good reason. He would destroy everything in his path, binding them all to servitude. The humane bond of trust had been completely alien to his heart. Yet he loved them all, the life and death of those that nourished and became his flesh and blood, as well as their pain and despair.
故に彼らを必要とする。私に愛された者たちへ、極限の誉れと歓喜を送ろう。
Oh my lord.
涙を流してディエスイレを称えるがいい。アクタエスとファーブラはここにある。ケイラ、苦しい渇望の根源は目の前だ。
I'm just gonna fall apart by the end of this, aren't I?
くらえよ。私が全てを許そう。
Some lamented being robbed of all. Another lamented being left behind, never to catch up. There were those who had lost those closest to them, while others could love only the dead. No one would embrace them. Their love would not bear fruit. Any form of recluse would be denied to them. All manners of cravings, one after the other. They were all victims of Karl Croft, Mercurius, for that mad serpent himself was the lord of the very law that bound them.
見せろ。我が愛し子らよ。案ずるな。私は負けん。
Okay! The first to react to the Gold's command was the Queen of Shadows, a star that crawled upon the ground. She too had experienced a revelation. It was him. It had always been him. At long last she found him and would not allow him to get away. She loved beautiful things, and for that reason she pursued the one who gave birth to the shadows. She would drag them all into her depths. Oh my god! The voracious shades from the castle of torture. The shadow swelled up, turning into a muddy stream, and assailed the serpent with the vigor of a tsunami. Naturally, that would hardly prove to be the end of the onslaught. The vampire cursed to remain among the scum of the defeated rose up next. The entire legion is going apeshit on Mercurius, and I am for that! Come on, bring in the best vamp! He had already shattered his bane, albeit not completely satisfied with the outcome. In the grand scheme of things, he was nevertheless confident in his victory. As such, he was more than worthy to be a Fang of the Beast. He would skewer and tear all and everything to shreds, wishing to be the most revered among the Gold's exalted legion. Withered to ashes, he longed to become a rose tinged by the hue of destructive love. The rose bearer in the forest of death. Crimson moonlight and bloody thorns devoured the stars of the olden world and sent them all into the castle of gold, swelling the legion of demons even further.
よくできた者たちであろう。
Of course not! Rusalka would severely impair the mobility of the serpent, while Wilhelm would weaken its powers and absorb even more strength for Reinhard.
K がくず星と断じた私のソーガだ。ああ、確かに敵の弱体化など好まんがね。彼らの物語と渇望は、かくも清烈に美しい。笑わせなどせんよ。
Yet the serpent laughed. He gazed down upon the waves of filth that shackled his being in the moonlight that devoured his stars as if they were hardly more significant than dust in the wind.
かわいいなハイドリヒ、かわいいなベイ、マレウス。いつからそのような英雄めいたノリを楽しむようになった？ 可愛すぎて絶望させたくなるぞ、私のように。
Their powers failed to upset even him in the slightest. Neither Rusalka's fervent emotion nor Wilhelm's deep-rooted loyalty could penetrate even the topmost layer of his skin.
マルグリット以外に私を殺せるものか。いいな、死になどせん。続きの出し物はどうした、ハイドリヒ。私は愛いているのだよ。退屈させるなら潰してしまうぞ、このようにな。
New stars condensed around his being, dwarfing the ones before in terms of density. Doubtless this action by itself had crushed countless hapless lives that inhabited this cosmos. But the smirking Mercury did not seem to mind, for he was an omnipotent fool. Such was the nature of the throne. His otherworldly ode reverberated across the boundless skies, its words likely belonging to an ancient era in which he still lived as a man under the rule of another throne. A spell to obliterate the previous god, one that would end Reinhard should he fail to surpass it. The condensed stars grew to a size to fit into one's palm and... soundlessly collapsed upon themselves, sending an inferno that vaporized all in its path to Reinhard, even the gods. A supernova. The sheer grandness and lethality of that strike was no secret to Reinhard. Thus he chose to use the most beloved of his souls to protect himself. Oh! Eleanor answered her master's call in supreme bliss. For years she had walked in his shade. For years she wished to be embraced by his radiance. She wished to be forever scorched by the raging conflagration of that passion. Herring sword of inferno! Hellfire met hellfire, and though the two exhibited a significant difference in terms of magnitude, Eleanor's was fueled by her love and fealty towards her master. Her soul would not be reduced to ashes so easily. The serpent proceeded with a follow-up attack, remolding superspace to cause the abnormal gravity to crush the Crimson Knightess. It resulted in a clash that rendered the space they occupied a zone of avoidance. This is so goddamn insane. This is like Gurren Lagann levels of insanity. A phenomenon also known as the Great Attractor. No physical thing in the entire cosmos could remain safe when caught within its inescapable clutches. However... Yes! A flash of light filled the darkness as the Valkyrie danced through the sky, the radiance of her soul illuminating the path she believed in. Slipping through a momentary opening, it assaulted the serpent on the throne in the form of a lightning bolt. She prayed from the bottom of her soul that none of this would ever come to pass again. She believed that peaceful future to be more than just an illusion. She might have lost, but her soul refused to disappear just yet. She beseeched her one and only hero to grant her strength. Yes! Unlightning I dance, for I am Valkyrie. The bolt of blinding lightning pierced the throat of the serpent.
故にお前たち亡霊は消えねばなるまい。未来を望んでいるのだろう。光を欲しているのだろう。グラズヘイムの空に輝きがあるとでも思っているのか。
She did not. But above all that, she felt it her duty to erase this man from existence. The world did not need a maddened god to rule it from his throne. Yes! At the next moment, 3 dead warriors separated from the lightning.
トバルカイン、黄金の犠牲者たる代表といえばお前たちだが。
The derisive smile never once faded from the serpent's face, despite his head, neck, and both sides being pierced by 4 false holy lances. Truth be told, he might not even possess the capacity to form any other facial expressions. After all, he was but the stagnant residue of a maddened cackle born of an eternity of fury, despair, and comedy. For the universe itself was the grandest of stages, and this the finest comedy of them all.
お前たちの悲劇など私の道に漂っていた悪多ですらない。触れたところでああそうかとも思わん。何かを伝えられるつもりでいるのか。より集まっても石くれにすらなれぬお前たちが私の宝石に捧げる愛を愚弄するのか。少子儚すぎて抱きしめたくなるよ。
As such,
ここに天津神の御事持ちで太まりに裏えて乗りたま逸落。
boy, have I missed you! And so the world of the heavenly Lord resoundeth. May their very bones be incinerated by my scorching flames. In that case, the serpent ought to refrain from insulting their jewels. Light still burned in her heart with a fierce and unfading flame, regardless of how petty it might have seemed to another. She might have lost her way, sinking into a swamp of blood, but she retained the spirit to condemn a world ruled by such a maddened throne. Even as 5 fangs of the beast dug deep into his flesh, the serpent would not falter. Though both the Knight of the Bloodstained roses and the voracious shadows chiseled away at his soul without rest, the ultimate being had yet to even begin feeling pain. Meanwhile, the Crimson Knightess was about to finally lose her struggle against the flames of the supernova.
どうしたしまいか。
無論稲だ。
Yeah! Another light traversed the path illuminated by the Valkyrie. A mad, ravaged soul, but as such, it possessed no fear. It would become the fastest, most loyal arrow, had the gold only wished so. A physical manifestation of pure bloodlust that could never be touched or caught by any foe. The all-devouring beast of the abyss. For that thing kept touching him, kept stepping on him. His fangs longed for retribution. He would not allow the most superlative of all prey to escape.
すべての型がついた後、尋常に勝負といこうではないか、ミハイルよ。K の求めた死はその先にある。何？私はあれと違って約束をたがえん。
Shrifa?
ゆえに、今一度だ。これを最後の蘇りとして、真のバルハラに行くがいい。
As the rabid beast soared through the air like a comet, opening a way by destroying everything in its path. Into the mortal realm! A sudden punch from the Iron Champion shattered every single thing that assailed Reinhard.
見事だ。ケーラ残らず、私が認めた英雄の器に相違ない。
And Reinhard Heydrich would never miss such an opportunity. Divine energy impregnated the Spear of Destiny. It lit up more fiercely and boldly than ever before, unleashing its true nature as the blade that had slain the gods.
いざ聞くがいい。これが勝利の号砲だ。
An enormous ray of golden light shot towards the defenseless serpent.
面白い。
In that moment, he froze in awe. What did he just say? Interesting? Interesting? What kind of emotion was that? He despised all and everything. To him, every fleeting second in this world was unbearable torment. He ought to have lamented having failed again. So why did he find himself actually enjoying this battle? Why did its beauty send his heart aflutter? What is this? Heydrich, you bastard, what have you done? What is this emotion? Why does my heart dance with excitement from the thought of what is yet to come?
見せてくれるのか、私の真実が何なのか。
しかり、見せよう。かつて共に誓っただろう。
Next time they met, the two would journey forth to fulfill their most earnest desires.
傍観するだけでは何もつかめん。その重い腰をようやく上げた。今のKこそがおそらくは。
Even if his opera is labeled trite and tedious.
K もまた演者たれ。今さら帰る舞台袖などあるまい。
ああ。
That was indeed right. He acknowledged it, savored it, and a moment later, He made all the stars in the universe condense, feeling the first shiver rush down his back in eons. Fusion of dark matter. The two mightiest forces in the universe clashed. In that brief span of time, Reinhard had unquestionably ascended to the level of omnipotence. He would devour even dark matter, making it bend to his will. The entirety of his existence had been one of torturous, incessant tedium. He felt he had been born into the wrong era, and embraced despair before succumbing to resignation. And it was Karl who broke him out of his cage. For that, the beast felt earnest gratitude towards the serpent. Such bliss, rapture beyond imagination. The sensation of fulfillment dwelling in his chest threatened to ravage the very stars as it reached its peak. He would no longer hesitate, no matter what awaited him. The passion his sworn friend had lit ablaze in his heart would drive him ever onwards. He would never forget his friendship, whatever may happen to the throne itself. Reinhard would lock the memory of his sworn friend deep inside his heart and would not allow anyone to tarnish it.
新世界の開闢に散る花となれ。
抜かせよ。散るのはどちらか知るがいい。
He wished for this. He had craved it for eons. What was his origin? The absence of an apprehensible end had driven him insane. And it was Heidrek who invoked a time limit to his eternity. For that, despite the other's insolence, the serpent had felt earnest gratitude towards the beast. Such foolishness. Despair beyond imagination, the overwhelming self-hatred welling in his chest threatened to ravage the very stars as it reached its peak.
私は今生きている。
Good! Now let's kill you! Even if he had repeated the world countless times, he would never have attained this without Heidrek. He would not bleed without him there to pierce his chest with the apotheosis of emotion. He would never forget his friendship. Whatever may happen to the throne itself, Mercurius would lock the memory of his sworn friend deep inside his heart and would not allow anyone to tarnish it.
故に滅びろ。勝つのは私だ。女神の地平を生む礎となれ。
Both of them failed to realize that the current Grand Grunal from the very beginning had been a conflict originating from within the Obsidian Round Table. This outcome was doubtlessly the result of an internal split. In which case, who is the true puppet master behind it all? The serpent attested it to be the Valir Trifa's accomplishment. It had certainly been his actions that warped the Golden Son and Father, leading all to this conclusion. Without him, none of this would have happened. But did he act completely out of his own will? For whom did he live and die? To whom did he dedicate his final prayer? Indeed, from the very beginning, this had all been made possible through her courage. Whether through blind luck or conscious planning, that and that alone succeeded in bringing forth a situation where the two pillars of apotheosis clashed with each other. Her choice to make the first step. Himuro. Tender, frail, and by no means clever. Having been born under the shackles of despair, she now mustered, for the first time in her life, a snippet of courage that hardly had more weight than a flower petal, yet it was enough to upset and collapse the scales of the universe. First, she closed her eyes. She plugged her ear, shut her mouth, and even suppressed her breathing and stopped moving altogether. With a heart obstinate like cold, hard stone. There were too many things she would rather not have felt. Too many truths she did not wish to know. She was content with being closed in a small circle. She didn't care for the things outside it. She could barely perceive them, nor did she even wish to. It was but a single emotion that compelled her to nonetheless rise and take action. She would have to award this outcome to the one who caused her to transcend the curse of Memento Mori by making her wish for his salvation. And she, who wished to embrace all and everything, was naturally present as well. And so the ultimate conclusion fell into the hands of the goddess.
ねえ、大丈夫だから。私、ちゃんとみんなを包むから。
She would return everyone to where they belonged. To the universe where neither the Mad Throne nor its apotheosis existed.
ここでなら、きっとできる。
She too channeled her craving into a prayer, one no less passionate than the screams and roars of the two raging apotheoses outside.